This is Wild Philosophy. I'm your host, Wild Phil, and we got Jim Kappel.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Jim Kappel.
Yeah.
All right. How's it going, man? What's fucking new?
It's good, man. Recently, me and a couple of my buddies, we got into filming sketches.
Yeah.
We'd been writing shit together for a long time, but we were like, yeah, we're going to write a TV show. And then we got 2 episodes in, and we were like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, it was like the first thing. It was like if Leonardo da Vinci, the first thing he tried to paint was the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
like this was, I think we bit off more than we could chew. So now we're doing like short form stuff on YouTube. We actually, our first sketch is going live today, actually, in about an hour.
What do you think is your influence you to do sketches?
I have to think. I like the sketches Shane Gillis does. I always liked, like when I was coming up, College Humor.
Yeah.
College Humor was huge. Smosh. Stuff like that. I wouldn't say they're influences necessarily, like as far as what we do, but they were like kind of put the idea in our head of like, oh, you can just do some goofy shit on YouTube and get views. So.
Yeah. So you're doing sketches. I'm trying to think what the fuck else is new in 2 weeks. This is like, I think this will be either the first or second podcast of the year because I usually have a rant podcast where I just update people for the new year, which I did one, but I haven't released it yet. But because I was telling you I was going to have a fucking hardcore punk singer on, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's trolling me or if he's just real busy, but we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, I mean...
if he's a punk singer, he's probably like digging through trash bins and looking for clothing and stuff at the Goodwill. Mm-hmm. You might be able to find him there. Set a trap for him. Put like a leather jacket in like your trash can outside, and then just nab him.
Yeah, dude. What did I expect? You know? Like, am I having a business owner on? You know.
Everything I know about the punk scene is joking about how every show starts an hour late. So
yeah, it's like Madonna. You know?
Yeah,
she's punk. No, But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's been happening. You know, I've been getting booked a lot, and I fucking love it, dude. I love it because, you know, I said this in the. By the way, I'm all pro-American today because I had a show. So first I only got booked on 2 shows last year, which to me, it was sort of like I was so proud of myself that I sort of like chilled out. And then a lot of shit happened with family problems and like health issues, you know, people getting diseases and shit that I sort of like, I didn't actually sit down and email people. And then when I sat down and like emailed, I go to the extreme. I'm wild. Yeah. And so I got like 5 shows coming up, and it feels fucking great because, dude, I think it's some single parent shit where I'm like a little codependent, you know. I'm like, who can help me? Oh, that thing's gonna move. It'll freak you out.
Oh, okay.
I don't care.
I thought you had someone back here, like the Eric Andre show. Someone's gonna come out and grab me.
Yeah, fucking Ellen DeGeneres. No, dude. Speaking of punk, I got this couch. It was on the side of the road, but it works great, man.
Yeah.
Like
I was gonna say, I have an office chair at home that's just tattered and held together by duct tape, but it's so comfortable, and I've had it for years. And my mom was like, "Oh, like we're getting rid of this one. You should use this one." And I sat down in it, and I was like, "Nah, I want the crusty old one. Give me the one with the duct tape back." Dude,
speaking of that punk shit, like you know what's weird for me is like these shoes.
Yeah.
I always like the worn out look.
Yeah.
Like to me, like the biggest man crush was like Andrew WK.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like he never changes clothes for a year, you know? And you see kids now, they have like brand new fucking Dunks or Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
And they're in the shape of a C because they're on their phone all day and inside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do they look like Sims characters? They're completely clean because they don't fucking get out.
Yeah.
They don't get out. But yeah, I was saying, so those first 2 shows, the first show I got booked on was by Khalil at Red Room.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know, I might as well try and get another show at Red Room again. And they were going to put me on a Christmas show, but they're like, yeah, you know, it's getting rescheduled for January 6th. I'm like, dude, I got to get this fucking get up going, you know?
You look like you just found out about the Declaration of Independence, and you are so stoked on it.
I am very happy to have citizenship. You know?
I just got my green card. I'm so happy to be here.
So yeah, I'm gonna be one of those like, because my best friend's Cuban. He's like, dude, every Cuban is pro-Trump. That's what I look like.
Yeah.
You don't understand what communism is like, you faggot. But yeah. So I was contemplating on wearing this, but none of like, I knew some of the people on the lineup. I knew one of my favorite, probably top 3 favorite comedians in Chicago, Eric Emerson. He was on. He knows me, and he knows that I'm like a little goofy, you know.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the people, like I know Bob Keane, but like I said, Chicago's more. It's a blue city. I don't
True blue for sure.
So they're like, dude, you're gonna look like a douchebag. You're gonna go up. They're gonna think they're having like Ben Shapiro Q&A.
Yeah.
So I didn't wear it. And the funny thing is that instead of wearing that, I wore a red hoodie with red gloves. And they immediately called it out. You shouldn't be wearing red today. Just letting you know. And luckily there was like 20.
Bro, it's like a gang thing. They're like, dude, if you wear red, we're going to beat the shit out of you.
Dude, that's the thing. There was, for some reason, because I always go to Red Room, it was like 90% black and 50% of the crowd was in red. So I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to get in the Bloods, yo. and because I'm a white guy, if I did the Crip walk, I'd roll my ankle. But yeah, it was a good show, and so that's why I'm wearing all American today. But yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like, for the longest time, I thought, like, I have to kiss or suck someone's dick to try and get booked on shows. And it's just like, dude, if you just follow the laughs, like, I mentioned this in that other clip. I did New Year's, and I hadn't done comedy in, like, 2-3 weeks because of problems in my family. And then I'm like, oh, I'm on this New Year's show. That was bro. I literally was tearing up. Tears were rolling down my face because that was the first time I knew what crushing is. Yeah. I didn't know what crushing is. I told you, like, I did the show with where Adriel was on my showcase.
Yeah.
And I remember, I told you he drank 3 pitchers, so he was drunk.
Yeah.
But he was saying all this. We're in the car, and he's just, dude. It was so funny because he's like, first he's talking about, he's like, man, I hate to say it, but I'm a virgin, and like, how the fuck, your wife is so sweet. How'd you guys get together? And I'm like, honestly, she was the first woman I respected. Like, he's like, that's beautiful, man. So, and that's not just like, I'm not some asshole. It's just, I being from the punk scene, there's a lot of hoes, not, somebody who's like, do you want to start a family? No. How am I going to afford my art gallery studio next to Columbia? Nobody like, so, and then we went on to, he was saying, he's like, Phil, listen to this, man. If you don't kill, then you're bombing. If you don't, I'm like, yeah, but you could be in between. He's like, no, you got to be killing. And I'm telling you, on that New Year's show, it felt amazing because I was on that lineup. I don't even want to mention their names because I feel like I'm being too cocky, but there were people who've been doing it for 10 years and 20 people. It was a show of, it was in it's called Aces Races.
Okay.
And it was, it looked like Jay Leno. It looked like, you ever been to Volo Auto Museum?
No.
It's like they have a restaurant and then they have a shit ton of like prop, like they have the Knight Rider car, they have a DeLorean there. So it was like a restaurant with these classic cars, and I had like 20 fucking people like, why didn't they let you headline? I wish you would have done more time. You were fucking amazing. I'm like, nobody's forcing these people to say this. Yeah. I'm already thinking of myself negative 20% that I suck.
Yeah.
It felt fucking great. And that kicked it off. Like, I'm just, but so that happened.
Outside validation does help sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just saw, what's funny is like, you listen to Rogan?
Yeah.
So did you hear the one with Bobby Lee?
Which one?
It was like his newest one with Bobby Lee.
No, I didn't see that one.
And like, dude, like for the longest time, I couldn't understand. I almost like Tiger Belly better than Rogan Experience.
Okay.
And I couldn't understand why I loved Bobby Lee so much, and I knew so many people who hated him.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I listened to him on Rogan, it was the first time he was on there. I'm like, dude, I relate to him so much because he's wild and unpredictable, and he always thinks shitty of himself. He's like, he everything he was saying, I'm like, that's exactly how where it's like, if I take a break from comedy for a month, I'm gonna be, hey Jim, are we still cool?
Yeah.
Did I do something? Did I say something?
Yeah.
You know? And they're like, dude, we're cool. You just took a breather, you know? And that's it's all fucking, you know, trauma induced. You know, he got molested by a retard. I got kidnapped. You know, like,
bro, I didn't see the Bobby Lee episode, but I did see the picture with him and Joe Rogan. And I love those pictures because it always reminds me how short Joe Rogan is.
Yeah.
Because it's like you see Joe Rogan and then you see him like with his hand up, like with the guest.
Yeah.
And then with Bobby Lee was like at his shoulder. I was like, damn, Bobby Lee is short.
Dude, that's why I love, like, he's talking about, oh man, I'm hunting elk, I'm doing roundhouse kicks, I'm cooking for my family, I'm podcast. It's like, dude, you're that's short man syndrome. You're making up for that you know, inferiority.
Well, because he always says that one quote people say where it's like, oh, weak men create hard times create strong men.
Yeah.
But they always say that shit referring to themselves being the strong men.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bro, no. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They always have like oh, we're the strong men, and then the hard times, those are created by the next generation. It's like, dude, you're just
Well, you know what sucks is, like, he's unbelievably out of touch. Yeah. He's unbelievably, you know, when he's on, I used to get so fucking triggered when I'm in a union welder job working 80 hours a week. And he's like, why don't you spend 4 hours working out when you get home? Like, why are you so fat? Why don't you spend 4 hours fucking building your own sauna?
Yeah.
Because we ain't multimillionaires, bitch.
Oh,
like,
that's always the tough part too. When you see somebody go from like, okay, they were at one time like us, they had a job, they had bills to pay. Now they're like super rich, but they still think they're in touch with their roots.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually,
your whole set is about how hard it is being in first class on the airplane. You know, like,
yeah, bro, you got hundreds of millions of dollars under your belt, and you're gonna say like, dude, why don't you have time? Like, because I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to fucking hire people to do things for me.
So you know what I was gonna tell you is I was getting into it earlier. You know, I watch random shit that, you know, influences my comedy, and I was going down this rabbit hole of it's called Real Stories, and it's like these clips from England of like people with psychological problems. Like it'll be like an hour documentary of this is what it's like to live with split personality disorder, you know, or this is the guy who has the highest rated schizophrenia in England, you know.
Okay.
And I like it because I was actually going to school to be a therapist or a psychologist, but I just ran out of money. Yeah. And fucking dude, they had this one on this guy who has severe OCD. Dude, I burst out laughing. I couldn't. I lost it because there's this guy and they're talking about how like he's already living, you know. I think it's a European thing. Like, I'm cool with having a townhouse for the rest of my life. Yeah. Because houses in like Europe, they're really compact. Yeah. They're small.
Like the fucking one in Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to live under a staircase. But,
yeah.
But yeah,
nobody locks you in at night. Yeah.
But like, you know, they're showing his apartment, and it's so funny to me because I'm ignorant, and the only thing I can relate it to is it looks like a Mr. Bean episode. You know, where the fireplace is like the size of half a microwave. You know? So they started out, and he's like, oh, you know, the first thing I'll go do in front of the day. First thing I noticed is I'm like, he has a huge shedding German Shepherd. I'm like, dude, your life is hell if you have OCD and you got fucking German Shepherd fur flying
everywhere.
Yeah. But he goes, yeah, first I'll start off my day with, I'll go get all these dogs in the right place. And then they interview his wife. She's like, yeah, you know, it's kind of mad, but he's got to do it. They all have to face him. And he's got like this fireplace. And he has like 20 German Shepherd statues. And they all have to face exactly the right way. And he measures everything with his finger joints, you know? But when I lost it was... She goes, so we're going to Liverpool for vacation, and this is going to be the hardest thing he's ever done. And they show him he's trying to make the dog bowl geometrically okay with the corner of the wall, which is not even mathematically possible to put a circle in a centered with a corner, you know, like a right angle. Yeah. And he like
was this guy like an engineer? Like I feel like he would have to be with the way he likes things.
I don't think he had. I think he was under disability for the longest time because of his OCD. Yeah, But it's just him. He goes, like, I'm watching this thing and I'm tired, and he's pushing this dog bowl into the wall, shaking, and then he starts going like making this elephant noise. Yeah. And right as he's doing it, he's like, you better not be fucking laughing at that. and it threw me off because I was dying. I was
Did he look like right at the camera, like into your soul?
Yeah.
To tell you, like, you better not be fucking laughing at this.
Yeah.
You better not be finding this ridiculous thing funny.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I want to do a bit on it, but it is kind of sad, you know, because we know people with OCD
and it's tough too. Cause like when it's suffering in comedy, it kind of has to be about you. Cause if you're like, haha, look at this other guy. Yeah. It's like bullying, and it's not as, it's like, there's a way to do it and still be likable. Yeah. Is kind of the angle.
And you know what I hate too is like, I had a person who went, it was a friend of a friend who had cerebral palsy. Okay. And they're like, I want you to treat me like everyone else. So I want you to roast me. I'm like, you're sure about that? And this motherfucker, you know, because of people who have something as debilitating as cerebral palsy, they're going to bring their whole family because
He brought his whole family to this? It wasn't just family. Like, oh, God.
Yeah. And I'm like, I go, yeah, you know what, guys? Like, I'm never going to do this bit again because it didn't go well. So I'll just say it here. I just go, you know, guys, you know, people think that if you got disability, you're just not an asshole. But they pull the asshole card, man. They're like, oh, I can be the biggest asshole I want. I'm like, I got this guy right here. He's got cerebral palsy. This motherfucker only messages me when he's got some kind of accomplishment. Yeah. I'm like, he tagged me and he goes, I'm working on my 20th screenplay. And I really want to thank everyone who's supporting me. And he tagged me and like 100 people. I'm like, how am I supporting you? Because I'm going to stop. Yeah. Because I'm sick of being tagged.
How do I unsubscribe?
Yeah. And I'm like, accomplishment? Don't you guys sit around all day anyways? You know? and then the punch was, I go, you know, and this is when his family like really wanted to walk out. I'm like, you know, accomplishment. Let me know when you can walk a piping hot bowl of soup across the room without your walker.
Jesus Christ.
To fucking Harlem Globetrotter music. Like,
did he like it?
I think I couldn't tell.
Okay.
I haven't heard from him since. So
I wonder what happened.
I'm going to just double check again. Is everything's rolling okay?
Absolutely.
But,
bro, yeah, I love being roasted. I had it for my birthday one year. I told my buddies, I was like, I want to be roasted, so please.
Before he did comedy.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. And I got the biggest roast because nobody showed up. Like,
did you just sit there in the mirror and say,
happy birthday to me.
Tear rolling down your eye.
I was like, dude, come on, guys. Like, I want you guys to roast me, you know? Yeah. It's so even like before I had this podcast, I had a different one with a few friends of mine. And I was like, dude, we're gonna do a roast, and they weren't roast comedians, so they like did really dumb. Like, Phil, you smell like poop. Like really dumb shit.
Like grade school.
And then I went hard on them, and it hurt their feet. Here's the funny thing: I had a best friend who was blind.
Yeah.
All the blind jokes didn't faze him.
Yeah.
But you know what did faze him? The funny thing is, when he'd get upset, his upper lip would shake, and I don't think he could tell because he was blind. And the thing that got him was, I go, hey, you know, I was asking my buddy, I go, you know, I don't know if I should do this offensive stuff in comedy, you know, because like, you know, a lot of people get offended. And you know what he told me? He goes, Phil, you do you. Coming from somebody who is severely unique, be yourself. And I go, yeah, severely unique. Who would have thought a fucking Irish guy with a Celtic cross tattoo who's a huge alcoholic, severely unique? and he got pissed off at that for the blind stuff. But yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know what else has happened. I mean, I recently found out that I am addicted to cigars.
Yeah,
it sucks, dude. Because I used to tell my wife, I was like, you know, I'm only having it on podcasts, and I've been having it every fucking day. Like,
but at least you can do it inside. I feel like that was always the difficult thing. Like, you want to be a smoker in January in Chicago.
Yeah.
You gotta be pretty addicted to get out there in the cold. And
dude, my wife is gonna fucking hate me, but I'm telling you, it's a marriage thing. Yeah. Because when I met her, I had a cigar in my mouth.
Yeah.
When we went out, I had a fucking cigar. Like, when we moved in, I had a cigar. The day of my wedding, I have a cigar in my mouth on the pictures. 3 months into the marriage, I don't like that. I got to be honest. I'm like, well, what do you want? Like out of nowhere? What the fuck? And we did I'm telling you, we've been talking, like, we don't argue that much.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that in couples therapy for like 6 months, it was nothing but talk about cigars. Like, because
who'd you go see? Dr. Freud?
Well.
Bro, I've had arguments with my girlfriend. It's kind of funny too, because like I can't even remember what it was about, but she came up to me and she was mad about something, and she was like, "You need to do it this way," and I was like, "Okay," and I could almost see the disappointment in her face of like not getting. Like she came ready to go.
Not getting the drama.
Yeah, she came ready to do battle, and I was like, "No, you're right."
Yeah.
Yeah, and she kind of was like, "Oh, shit." I was ready to get mad.
All right, this is going to be super misogynistic, but here's okay. My problem is, and I think I talked about this when I had Jess Misitano on.
Yeah.
I grew up with a shit ton of really miserable women.
Yeah.
And that fucked up my vision of women. It was like four women in my family. It's like they're the women that like didn't believe that their partner would divorce them, and then when it happened, they're like, "Fuck that guy," and now they're like a witch cult hating on men, and it's like, it's so funny too because like the first time I went to family dinner on my wife's family, she's like, "Are you guys close?" I'm like, "No, it's filled with a bunch of divorced, miserable feminist women." And I found out that that's half of my wife's family.
Oh, God.
So like, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I love it so much. I'm very happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, at least become a lesbian. Don't you want romance?
Yeah.
So, but
at least switch teams from time to time.
Yeah, but so what happened is my biggest problem was my mom and my aunt were super mean. They'd say the meanest shit to me. Like the most vulnerable thing they would fucking tell you. You got a pimple on your nose? Oh my God, pop that thing. It looks like fucking cheese growing on your face. And so what I learned that got me into comedy was roast shit. Just all I got to do is be vulgar and roasting to them.
Yeah.
And so the problem is when I get pissed off, I say really mean shit. I try not to like fight or become fit. I've never become I've never started the fight. I always wait for them to hit me and then I put them in a coma,
Yeah.
Because that's the legal way,
Yeah.
So what happened, what the problem between me and my wife was like we'd get into some argument where I wasn't even mad at her. It was just a series of situations that made me bubble up. It had nothing to do with her. And then I would say really mean shit.
Yeah.
So I got to this moment where I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take a breather. Because that's the
a good call.
That's the boomer way, right?
Yeah.
Like we'd get into an argument and I'd be like, I'm going fishing for an hour. Or like, I'm going for a 3-mile walk.
That's the smart move. Kind of disconnect yourself from the situation a little bit. I've found that helps too. Like if I ever get upset and I start to get to that point where I'm like, I'm going to do something I regret.
Yeah.
It's like if I remove myself from the situation, I take a breather, come back, I'm like, okay, I'm a little more level-headed now.
So here's what's hilarious about that is when we started we started going to couples therapy because there was a bunch, all the deaths in my family. It had a little to do with me and my wife fighting. Here's the part that's hilarious.
The deaths?
What?
You caused them with your wife and you fighting?
No. Well, no. It was a house of cards.
Oh, okay. I thought I was like, dang, you guys are.
No. It's what caused like the depression.
Gotcha.
Because it was at the same time as the lockdown. So I'm grieving, and my grieving is affecting her, and the kid. So what's funny that happened is that I kind of like accidentally roasted our couples therapist because she's a chick.
Yeah.
And she goes, walking away and just cutting off, that's called disassociating, and that's absolutely abusive. And I go, why is it abusive? And she goes, well, because the truth is this came out of her mouth, and I'm like, I agree with that, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. She's like, women they communicate through emotions more, and obviously men are more logical, and so to you logically it makes sense to walk away, but it's hurting her. I'm like, but it stops the argument. She's like, yeah, but do you realize it doesn't make sense? I go, well, you're also a woman. That's why it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So But yeah, so I'm stuck. I don't know.
Yeah, that's confusing because it's like, well, if I'm in a spot where I'm going to do something regrettable, I'd prefer to take some time and get out of it. But if that means that is also bad, that's like a catch-22. What are you going to do?
I started working on it, and what my new method is I call, instead of saying mean shit, I say something that I think sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
And somehow it still comes off mean. I'll just be like, I'll look at the first 3 things I see, and I'll be like, you fucking garlic breaded elbow hoe. You know? Just like your fucking steak shouldered ass. Just like random shit.
Yeah.
Your fucking knees look like Adidas shoes.
Like a Mad Lib.
Yeah. and she's like, that's still mean. I'm like, bro, well, I'm fucked.
Did you ever try saying something nice in the middle of an argument? That works. That tends to kind of like, all right, like, because that's the thing too, like, especially if you're arguing like with someone like your wife or your girlfriend, it's like you kind of have to remember like, oh yeah, there's a reason we're together. And it's like the argument obviously is not the reason we're together. I love you, but we have this disagreement. So we kind of have to figure out how to have a disagreement but still love each other at the end of the day. So you kind of, I don't know, I'm not a couples therapist. I'm just...
yeah. No, you said it kind of, I'm sure that's going to get a good laugh. Yeah. Somebody telling Wild Phil, have you ever tried being nice?
Just to suggest the thought, just a suggestion.
That's a timed feeder. It freaks out everybody. But
I heard him like, I think you got rats, dude.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. So the other thing that happened, I think I could talk about it now. Did I tell you about that DCFS shit?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I could talk about it now because it finally got over with. But yeah, basically, and I do it as a joke now. I'm like, hey, it was so cold. How cold was it? This is how cold it was. My kids got a bunch of issues.
Yeah.
The Zoomer generate, anxiety, fucking whatever. And I'm under the impression that everything he's going through, bad grades, anxiety, lack of friends. I'm like, dude, he's fucking on his computer 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
But his therapist said, he's like, oh, actually, Phil, you make too strict rules. So your wife needs to make the rules, but you need to enforce them.
Yeah.
So I told him I thought he had 8 accounts on Google, which is shady.
Yeah.
Turned out he scammed a bunch of people, made like $5,000. So I'm like, the old criminal in me, I'm proud.
Yeah.
Merge those accounts right now.
Yeah.
Okay, keep the money you got, but it ends here.
Yeah.
And I gave him 3 fucking weeks. 3rd week, I go in his room and I'm like, all right, today's the day. And I let him cool down. I went to go make dinner. I'm like, we got to delete these accounts. So he tried to fuck me. He tried to lie. You know when you go on Google and you click on the username and it shows everyone that's been on there?
Yeah.
That's just a shortcut. That's just a save. So when I went on settings, 28 accounts. 28.
Oh, good
I'm like,
Lord.
what the fuck?
Did he get more? You told him delete them, and you're like, I'm going to make more of them.
Well, no, he just never told me that he had 28 all along.
Yeah.
And he kept getting banned.
So, you're like, you got all 9 of them.
Mm-hmm. and so, long story short, he tried tackling me. I just put my hand away so that he wouldn't do it, Mm-hmm. It's like when, when somebody tries to storm a Capitol and they no, they let him in, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. You get what I'm saying? It was like a security guard move.
Yeah.
And then he clotheslined me, so I just held him against the wall. This is where I got triggered because I grew up in a poor ass family.
Yeah.
He tried ripping the hard drive out of the wall.
Oh no.
And his fucking computer's like more expensive than my car.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm like, you're ripping. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I just held him against the wall, and I went from Wild Phil to Stepdad Phil.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen.
You put on a cardigan like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Like.
Listen up. If you want to be my neighbor, I was like, you can either follow the fucking rules here or you can get the fuck out.
Yeah.
That was the first night that it dropped to like -10.
Yeah.
So he fucking ran away in his pajamas.
Oh, God.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, shit. He's going to be frozen.
You're going to find him like the Jack Torrance at the end of The Shining somewhere.
Well, that's the second thing that came to me. And I'm just like, I know what happens when dads go after kids. Let them freeze. Let them freeze. His fucking grandma, dude. She, the baby daddy's mom.
Yeah.
she opened a DCFS investigation on me, and it was just so funny because when they're like, all right, we're gonna have to do an inspection of the house, and they come over here and they're like, do you have any hefty bags for windows? No. Do you have any firearm that is unlocked? And the answer is my wife. She hid it from me. Yeah, and we both forgot where it is. so
I should probably be careful on this couch just in case it's.
Yeah. And then she goes, do you heat your house with the stove sometimes? I'm like, bro, what the fuck is the next question? Do I like eating a lot of chicken, bitch? What the fuck? What are you saying? You know, like clearly this was a miscommunication, you know, and it got scrapped, whatever. But it was so fucking stressful, dude.
I bet, yeah.
I would have never thought I'd have a DC. I tried writing a bit about it where, like, you know, I got that immigrant mentality where I want to get my money's worth. I'm like, dude, if I'm gonna have a DCFS investigation, I should have gotten like 9 guys to beat the shit out of him. You really make it worth it.
Yeah.
Well, so that's what happened to me. But yeah, and then but he's back, and he knows that we both know it was kind of we both, you know,
lost your temper.
Yeah,
that happens though. I've had the same situation before with my dad. Like, obviously we're cool now, but
yeah,
you know, you have that thing where like you both get heated about something.
Yeah,
and it's just like, especially when it's 2 guys too, and like, I don't know how old your son is, but like coming of age and starting to get like feel out what being a man is.
Yeah,
you start to think you're like, oh, I got to be like aggressive.
Yeah, He's 16 and he was on the wrestling team. So
yeah.
You know, a lot of people are like, "Oh man, you were big. You shouldn't." I'm like, I didn't really do anything wrong. I'm like, you know, if you were at the library and you were ripping out a fucking computer, that's how a security guard would react to you.
Yeah.
And here's the part that made me laugh was we went to therapy, and you know, grandmas spoil the fuck out of their kids.
Yes.
So we're sitting there, and the grandma's like, she's like, "This isn't the first time this has happened. Why don't you mention that?" I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? She goes, what about, and the whole time, you know, I'm like, you know, when you're in comedy mode, you're constantly roasting. So she's like, what are those things that fly in the air? I'm like, the voices in your head, bitch. Like, what are you? She's like, no, she's a drone. That's what I mean. I'm like, so what happened with the drone? She goes, do you remember what you said to him? I go, no. Somebody bought him like a $700 drone for his birthday. And he flew it into a pond 10 minutes into opening. Of
course.
Yeah. And she's like, you said that he was retarded for it. And the therapist is sitting there with his note. He's like, yeah, it's kind of retarded.
Yeah.
Like,
that's $700 right down the tubes. Mm-hmm. I got a buddy, he got a drone, and he lives on the 3rd floor of an apartment building.
Yeah.
And the guy who lived with him is like, you're going to break that in the first 10 minutes. And so he's like, no, I'm not. And he starts flying it off the balcony, like in front of the apartment building. And he's bringing it back in. He runs it into the railing on the balcony. It just falls to the ground.
Dude, the worst is when it loses that fucking, the signal.
Yeah.
And then it just flops.
Yeah.
You know? It's like narcoleptic drone, you know?
Yeah. I think they have them now where it's like when it starts to get low power, it knows to lower itself to the ground. Mm-hmm. They're getting pretty advanced.
I was just laughing my ass off in this therapy session because she's bringing it up all suspenseful. Like, I put my pinky in his ass while he's sleeping. Like, dude, this wasn't the first time this happened. You know, like, get the fuck out of here, you know?
Yeah.
But it's all good now. I don't know what else has happened. You know, I'm opening a new mic.
Yeah.
Which... I should go into that. This is hilarious. So my good friend Lucia, have you ever met Lucia?
No, I have not.
So Lucia is I'll have her on the podcast event. I love her because she's as wild as me. So 10 years ago, she was a comedian in Chicago, and by coincidence, she's my brother's best friend's sister. Okay. And
is that how you met, or you met through comedy?
I met her. I actually, the first time I met her, was when I was selling drugs. And the funny thing is, like, she doesn't remember this, but I sold her an 1/8, and she thought that I skimped her. Yeah. And it wasn't skimp. You have to understand. I mentioned to you the guy that I had. Yeah. I got him, like, the shit that I got was cut right off the plant. Yeah. So it was real compact, real sticky.
Brickweed.
Yeah. And she thought that I skimped her on it. And then, like, I wrote a punchline joke because she's like, you put oregano in this. And I'm just like, dude, I'm a fucking fat guy, okay? If anything, I would give you oregano and replace it with weed. Yeah. I'm not giving away my oregano. Yeah. But I told her that. She didn't remember it. But Here's what's funny that happened. I want to say this because I love talking. I'm a Gemini. I love this gossip drama. You know.
I could never take the fifth. I love to chit chat.
Yeah, dude. So there's a bar So Lucia was a comedian here 10 years ago. She started doing maybe even further than that. She started when she was like 15. And she moved out to LA to be a wrestler, like AEW type.
No shit.
Yeah, dude.
Is she like big? Is she like tall?
She's not tall, but she's jacked.
Okay.
She's the most jacked woman that I know.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes me laugh is every time I've seen her do stand up, I've had people ask me like, you should talk to her about her abusive boyfriend, because she's always got like braces on.
Yeah.
And she's got like scars from the fluorescent lights, you know, breaking on. So she looks like she just got beat up.
Bro.
And I'm like, no, she's doing this to herself. You know, like
my girlfriend plays rugby and she comes home and she's like, look at this bruise I got at practice. And in the back of my head, I'm like, they're gonna fry me for this. I'm getting the fucking chair.
Yeah.
But like, no, I didn't do it. I swear to God.
But so here's what happened is so Lucia came back and she got out of a really bad relationship. So she's trying to be productive.
Yeah.
To kind of, you know, cope, you know. So she got a fucking awesome job. She's like a horse riding instructor and shit, and she does the wrestling. And then so in Chicago, I mean, you should know this because you say you listen to a lot of metal. Have you heard of Livewire?
The Livewire, is that
the bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the oldest. I think Reggie's is the best fucking metal
Reggie's
bar.
Rock Club, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best. But Livewire is probably the oldest, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the fucking owners of Livewire opened up. Me and Lucia, we grew up in, like, because we're all, you know, my brother and the friends.
Yeah.
We all grew up in Chicago around Norwich, like the hip mall.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, my girlfriend's brother lives out there. It's
Yeah.
a nice spot.
Yeah, dude, it is a nice. It's cool, man.
You're about 5 minutes from the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's the last L train stop,
Yeah.
so you're just enough out of Chicago to not get stabbed, but you're still in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You're still in Chicago enough to pay 5 cents for every plastic bag of Jewel.
Yeah. So, the owners of Livewire, they opened up these two bars. One of them's Goat, the other one's Draft.
Okay.
And they're like within a mile of each other. So Lucia's running these mics, and she's like, you know, because she overwhelmed herself. She booked herself for these matches, for this job. So she's like, Phil, I need you to host this mic.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I was sick, so she had Amy host the first one that she asked.
Yeah.
So she did the first mic, and then she had Amy host the second one, and then I hosted the third one. And Lucia's like, yo, listen, there's some fucking dickhead who was fucking with the crowd, and it got the bartender really, really mad.
Like so somebody who went and did stand up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they were making the patrons uncomfortable or some shit. So here's exactly what happened. I got them canceled.
You got him canceled?
They're both of them, because it's the same owners. They're like, we don't want to, dude. So I'm just gonna be fucking on. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Yeah. I'm blunt, bro. Fucking Joey Diaz of Chicago.
Yeah.
The truth is, this is the truth. Everyone I know, every comedian that's white and from Chicago, they're either not good or they're just angry. Chicagoans are angry, depressed motherfuckers.
Yeah.
They are.
It gets dark at like 3 p.m. around here in the winter.
Yeah, and it's like everybody that I know that's good is like they came from the suburbs, but now I'm from the city. It's like, bro, the reason why you're good is because you got the silliness from the burbs.
Yeah.
Chicagoans are fucking angry.
It's bitter.
And that's what was weird is this bar that I was doing at, bro, you walk in there, Make America Great Again flag, Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And these are the guys that are getting offended, you fucking pussies, you know? That's what happened. So here's what happened. I'm hosting the mic, and the first thing that happened, one of the owner's friends came in, and just these typical jock bros. I'm talking about that dude that was on the starting line of the high school football team, but then he became obese in college. So now all he does is fucking, fantasy football.
Yeah.
Still wears a Fred Durst hat backwards.
He's got the class ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could have thrown that ball over a mountain. Like,
how much you want to bet?
So I started it off. I didn't start it off. They started. So I started hosting. And this is just a general rule. I don't know. You've never hosted, right?
No, I've not.
General rule of the host is like the first priority is not to be funny, but to make the crowd jacked.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's everyone's Thanksgiving? Yeah, it's awesome. What did you guys do? And this guy screams out, it was these two bros with their girlfriends, and he screams out, did your fucking mom? And I'm just like, well, you know, she's been dead for 2 years, so I don't know if you're into that maggot puss. I mean, I can see that you are. You know, you got that type, huh? With the fucking bugs crawling around in that bitch's pussy. So I think that's what started off. That they tried to fucking heckle me, and I turned it around on them, and then I'm not even
with the most generic. Yeah, I fucked your mom. Like, bro, come on.
Like, yeah.
What are we, 7? Figure something new out.
Like, what's next? You're gay. So, I'm not gonna. Well, I could just say it. Fucking Khalil went up.
Yeah.
And dude, I think he's funny. He does funny jokes. He's the first guy who booked me. I don't really have problems with him. He's always been nice to me. I've always had a good experience. He goes up and he riffs. I don't even know if this is part of his. I'm not even gonna say it because it might be part of his material. But he just riffed on the Down syndrome Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah.
And he's just riffing. He's like, man, all I want to do is fuck retards now. You know? and I don't know if that's wrong because you guys are saying it's not if you're putting her on the cover, you know? So I'm sitting there and I'm as calm as a fucking cucumber, right? Yeah. Everything's flowing. I'm getting the times right. I look at my phone. There's like 15 messages from Lucia. You motherfucker! I told you to watch out with the patrons. Like, what the fuck's wrong? You're gonna get these. They're canceling the mics. And I'm like, I don't even like. They're laughing.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening wrong. You know.
Yeah.
And I completely don't blame Lucia. Like, you know, she trusted me. She didn't really like know me as well as she knows now. Like, why am I fucking up her mic? And I'm like, I didn't do any. What happened? So. It was so funny because Mark was doing his set at the Karski, and I just told him like, oh, I guess they're mad at some like retard joke, you know. So, dude, as I'm trying to apologize to the bartender, Mark starts doing a set about it. I'm like, no, shut up, dude, shut up. And he's laughing his ass off, and so I go to the bartender. She's like this old Puerto Rican mom, the kind that has like a smoker's voice from how much she yells at her kids, you know. Dude, I go, is there, you know, I'm trying to be nice, host, is there a problem? Can you explain? And she literally, word for word, she goes, listen, I don't fucking care if you're making fun of N-words, Spicks, Indians, Dotheads, Polacks. Just don't make fun of my retarded son.
Oh, my God.
And I almost lost it laughing. I'm like, nobody knows your son.
Yeah.
Nobody called your son that.
Yeah.
We're talking about a model, you know. And she's like, I don't fucking care. I'm sick of this. This is going on. You know, and you know the funny thing is, I think the week before when they were saying there was some guy messing with the patrons, I think I know who it was. They weren't doing anything vulgar or not PC. The funny thing is, like I said, the fucking Blue Lives Matter bar.
Yeah.
I think it was a gay comedian, and he was hitting on the dudes there. And they're these angry, depressed Chicagoan Blue Lives Matter dorks. Yeah. And he's making them question their sexuality.
Bro, learn to take a compliment. Come on.
Bro. So that got canceled, and Lucia lost it because, you know, she just came from LA, which is all super woke shit.
Yeah.
So she asked me, she's like, you know, can you help me co-produce a show? Or I told her I want to do it with you, you know. I'm like, yeah, that's no problem. I'll stand. I'm by your side through thick and thin. We're cool, you know. And that's why when she released that flyer, you know, Problematica, the most anti-woke mic. I'm like, Jesus, Chicago's going to shred you to bits. You know? Like, you're going to, oh my God, there's going to be so many fights.
They're going to put a hit out on you.
Yeah. But that's the reason why. But you know what the funny thing was? I told her this, but I'm glad I talked her out of it. I go, you know what would be really funny is if we called this mic the retarded son mic.
Oh, God.
And then just put up the flyers in the old bar.
Bro, I mean, like, you would definitely get attention, but I don't think it would be good attention.
Yeah. But, you know, honestly, I don't believe in any of that shit. I learned exactly, you know, when I did that New Year's mic, her name's Izzy Salhani. She's this or it's a they them lesbian chick, I think. I don't know her well enough to get the things right. But I talked to her, and I talked to even a lot of other comedians, and they're like, listen, people know the difference between if you're just a racist cunt and if you got good jokes.
Yeah.
Because before I went on that New Year's show, I'm like, hey, is it okay if I do some race jokes? And the booker was like shaking like a leaf because he's like, who the fuck is this guy, Lucia? Yeah. You recommended this fucking, whatever, Tom McDonald motherfucker, And they're like, no, your jokes were great. Because a lot of my race shit is either self-deprecating in the sense of like Polish people, me being, or it's just me being stupid, you know? And that's okay, as long as it's funny. And all these fucking dorks, like that's what I mean. Rogan being out of touch. Yeah. He you watch that Fox shit and you think everybody gets canceled. Bro, best quote I heard was by Daniel Tosh, where he's like, nobody gets canceled. You just move, you just get a new audience.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing with like Chappelle specifically. I remember I went to see him before he came out with The Closer. I saw him at what's that one big music festival in Milwaukee? I can't remember the name of it.
I don't know.
But it's like it runs for like a whole month. Yeah. And he played like the big outdoor venue.
Chappelle
and that was,
did?
Yeah. And that was like after people were already like, oh my God, it's disgusting. How could he? And he sold that place out.
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, people, when they say you're being canceled, it's especially in comedy, it's like, yeah, but if you already have an audience or people like you, you're not canceled. You know what I'm saying?
And plus, like, it's the yin and yang. The more you deprive people of shit, the more people want that.
Yeah.
It's like when weed got legalized.
Yeah.
It's like not as cool as much.
Yeah.
Let's move on to heroin.
Yeah, bro. I remember back in the days when it was illegal, it was so much cooler. We had so much more fun hiding and running into bushes and hiding in the woods, trying to get away from cops.
Not dosed with fentanyl.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing that I learned is like that's one thing I will say about this. So this mic, it's going to be every Thursday, and what we're going to do is it's by Harlem and Irving. It's a place called Social Junkie. That's what it's called.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to have, I think every month has, depending, either 4 or 3 weeks in a month, right? So the last Thursday of every month, we're going to have a showcase, and it's based upon how well the open micers do. So it's an opportunity for everybody.
Okay, so take a shot. Sort of.
Yeah. But instead of, getting a spot at Zany's, you get a spot at the same place.
Yeah, you get to come back the next week.
Yeah.
Is it like you pick X amount of people from each week? Or
I think so. Yeah,
okay.
We're still working it out.
Yeah.
Like Lucia's like, so do you got people for next week's showcase? I'm like, it's the first one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a showcase, you know. But it's going to be exciting because this place is an actual venue. When I did Club Belmont, you saw that place.
Yeah.
It's a dive bar with the same 5 angry Chicagoan drunks who the moment they see me, all right, cigarette break.
Yeah, let's go outside.
So, but yeah, that shit is so funny. So yeah, I mean, I got this mic going and not much else,
That's awesome, man. Good for you.
I tried messaging Zach Amico because he's coming to Lincoln Lodge. You know who Zach is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, dude, you need any openers? And he's like, you got to check with the venue. I'm like, fuck, because I know you got to be cool with Lincoln Lodge to let them, But that's my like, fucking like, that's where my balls are. Is I'm not afraid to fucking message anybody.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's what I did when I was in a band.
Yeah,
you got to like, why not?
Take the shot,
What do you got to lose?
What's the worst they can do is just not respond.
Yeah. And that's what you got to do to fucking get ahead. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck. But yeah, recently, I'm trying to think. You know what I saw recently? I love Dusty Slay. Did you see his new Netflix thing?
No, I've not.
He's so fucking great, dude. Oh, man, I saw him at Improv last year. He's so good. He's clean. And he's kind of like a trailer trash redneck.
Yeah.
But he's just a quirky trailer trash redneck. It's funny as fuck, It
happened recently. I saw a guy at the gym with a shirt that said "Embrace the suck," and I know that it means like, oh, you want to like embrace the hard things. But all I kept thinking of was that scene from Ghostbusters where Dan Aykroyd gets head from the ghost, and he's like, Do
you know what's crazy about that movie?
Yeah.
That Dan Aykroyd believes in all that, right?
He believes in like aliens and shit.
And so and
wasn't he on like Alex Jones talking like crazy?
Yeah.
I feel like I saw clips from that.
And he wrote Ghostbusters in the idea that it was going to be a sci-fi, not a comedy.
Yeah, he thought it was doing some nonfiction writing. And
yeah. So
the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was real.
Yeah, dude. But
they blew up 14 blocks in New York just for the movie.
Yeah, dude. Fucking.
Did you know Ron Jeremy was an extra in that movie?
No.
Bro, he pops up in the scene right before they go into the building. There's like the crowd outside the police barricade, and one of the people is fucking Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, dude. you know, I haven't seen that movie as much, but the movie with the weirdest cameos was have you ever seen Hook?
Yes.
It's one of my top 5 favorite movies.
There's like a female comedian who plays a male pirate that they lock in that box.
Yeah.
Bro, that was terrifying to me as a child. I was like, you just put him in a box and like put scorpions in there.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
And you know what? Like, when I found out it was Meryl Streep, I wasn't surprised because I remember that scene, and when he starts crying that they're going to put him in the box, I'm like, he sounds weird. No guy whimpers like, I did. I'm like, that sounds weird.
That was Meryl Streep?
Yeah.
That's insane. I didn't know that.
And then there was Phil Collins. You know when Hook breaks into the house and they takes the kids?
Yeah.
Phil Collins is the detective.
Really?
Yeah. And then the other thing, which I didn't believe this, and then I had to look it up because it's such a stupid, quirky little idea. Do you remember when Tinkerbell flies out of the window and it's like sprinkling, the pixie dust is sprinkling, and there's a couple making out on the bridge?
Yeah.
That couple is George Lucas and his wife. You knew that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's so fucking weird, you know? All those cameos.
Bro, did you hear George Lucas? He convinced Carrie Fisher that she shouldn't wear a bra because they don't have bras in space.
No.
Yeah, I read that somewhere.
That's the creepiest nerd shit I've ever heard.
To be fair, you saw the when she was like Jabba the Hutt's on the chain, like it's a little weird already. You kind of know that's like the kid with the action figures, like make them kiss.
Yeah, dude,
pushing their faces together.
Yeah, dude, those I'm telling you, man, like. Every guy that I know that the way Joe Rogan talks about, like, you know, these beta male Antifa guys, you know, who are or male feminists who are trying to fuck you. I don't think of that, but that's the way his image of that is how I think of like nerdy guys.
Yeah.
You know, like guys who are nuts about comic books. And I don't know, man. It's just.
Bro, what's crazy, though, is you see those guys, and then you realize that they actually have, like, a black belt in jiu-jitsu and can kick the shit out of you. Because there's a kid who is, I think he's younger than 18, but he's, like, one of the top-ranked guys right now.
Yeah.
You look at him, and you would never expect it. Because he's got, like, the thick frame glasses, he talks kind of softly, and you would just never expect that dude could just absolutely whoop your ass.
Yeah.
He's got the sleeper build, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, he's gonna come out of nowhere and just chokehold you.
Yeah, I'm saying that because there was a mic. I went to Vlad's mic.
Yeah,
and there's a comedian. I'm not gonna say his name, but he's a creep. He's a creep. He's nuts about comic books.
Yeah,
and his entire set was about eating pussy, and the whole time he's staring at my wife.
Oh no!
And trying to do crowd work with her.
Oh.
And then I went up there. I'm like, dude, if you ate pussy. The only way you would do it is if you had a headlamp and you're reading a comic in between those legs. Like, you fucking nerd. Like,
yeah, I could just imagine it just be like, he's got it on her belly. He's like, can you turn the page, please? I'm done.
Yeah, dude,
That's always the weird thing, because like I've brought family and friends to mics, and it's like, especially when they start doing like deep sexual shit, they immediately become uncomfortable. That's why I've stayed away from it, because they're like, yeah, that was weird. That like 60-year-old dude who was like talking about eating pussy.
Yeah.
It gets weird.
Yeah, I just always knew. Okay, here's the. I was gonna make a video. I might have already made the video, and I keep saying that, but I was gonna make a video where I'm talking about the creepiest fucking stories I ever. I'll just say it on here.
Yeah,
dude, this is a stereotypical. You don't have to be like a skinny or fat nerd to be creepy. I'm just like, if you're into like that anime or manga or comic, like, you can still be cool, but if you're enthralled in it, bro, there's a reason why you're escaping reality into that.
Yeah.
You know, like there's some, and here's what happened to me. This is a true story. I don't get, I heard this from a person in a person, so I won't be legally fucking, you know.
Heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who, yeah.
I used to work at Eisenhower Library in Norwich.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a guy there. I truthfully don't remember his name, but there was, I was just a front desk guy, and this guy there was 3 guys in security. It was an old dude, then there was this tall Polish bald dude, and then there was this guy. And this guy, he definitely took steroids. Yeah. And the reason why he took steroids is because he bleached his hair blonde and spiked it up because he believed he was Goku. That's why. And he would even ask people, "Can you call me Goku?"
Oh, no.
You know? So I'm like, here's this guy that looks like he could lift my car to do an oil change, but he's that awkward. He's unbelievable. Yeah. And to be fair, most dudes who do nothing but lift, they hate comedians because of how awkward they are.
Yeah.
They're the guys that we were talking about earlier that would hate on like Stavros.
Yeah.
Like he has so much charisma, but he's fat. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
bro, it is funny because like I go to the gym a lot, and some of the most jacked dudes there are like the shyest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too. I guess I don't know why I associate like, oh, like you're big, you probably are confident, and it's just not the way it works.
No, dude.
Also, I'm getting a kick out of you. The library story, like Wild Phil at one time was all about the Dewey Decimal System.
Dude, it was the easiest. It was so I only worked 2 times in like an office setting. It was that, and then I worked at a logistics place where I guess 3 other comedians worked that I didn't know were comedians at the time. Yeah. One of the guys was the guy who found that rat hole, Winslow Dumaine. The other guy is this guy named Adam Kozlow. He's this big Jewish guy. He's like the roast master general of Chicago. Yeah. He's at every battle. But so I'm at this library. So tell me, look at this level of taking fucking something like anime and making it delusional. Yeah. So this Goku guy, I worked with this girl. Her name was Tabitha. She was unbelievably socially awkward because she was a Jehovah's Witness white chick. Yeah. She still had like, remember in the 90s they had those girls with where they had the one braid with all the different beads.
Yeah. The suburban girl who went to Cancun type. Yeah.
Yeah, and they look like, they almost remind me of like the elf people in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You know? And so she just wanted to go to lunch with somebody. Mm-hmm. So she said, hey, to this Goku guy, hey, do you want to go to lunch? He's like, yeah, sure. She literally just looked at it like, we're just getting food. He became so obsessed with her. Dude, no joke. This is exactly what happened. I didn't know that every room in that library had most places, for all you criminals out there, because I notice, most places just have cameras with no audio. Yeah. So that's why you can go up to somebody and be like, yo, give me all the money in the cash register. How you doing? Yeah. And they won't hear it, you know? Yeah. So there they had every room mic'd. So this motherfucker transcribed everything this girl said. And he turned it into a Shakespearean anime visual arts book. No joke.
Oh my goodness.
So it would be like literally the most insignificant of situations. Like, you know, you went to go take a piss, and then we did this podcast. It would be like, Jim the Great Kappel came from the lavatory, and then he strutted down the stairs like a horse in the wind.
I feel like that's like 2 steps down from being a serial killer. You're right there. You're on the verge. You're just trying to get that last thing to the last push.
Yeah, and what happened is, not only did they get him fired, but he wrote 5 visual art books about this. Yeah. And when the library, he was selling them on Amazon. Yeah. When the library found out, he is banned from selling anything on Amazon because it was a whole stalker thing, yeah. You know? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. I don't know why.
Good.
Those guys are like, you know, you could just go through a bunch of rejections and ask a chick out, but instead you're going to use this like cartoon fucking shit to be, you know, delusional.
I saw something. It was a Venn diagram, and one of the circles was incels, the other circle was XL, and in the middle it said incorrectly assuming something is a date.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just like, yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah, dude. I used to be real awkward. Were you an awkward guy when you first started dating?
No.
No, you never. Dude, I used to be.
I'm tall, so natural confidence.
Dude, I wasn't like I never had the creep in me, but I was awkward. Like, so are we at that level where I can put my arm around you, like asking permission? Yeah. And I was like that from like, I went through a horrible breakup at 16.
Okay.
So I didn't date anybody till I was like 23. It was really fucked up.
You were jaded.
Dude, it was a fucked up, like, long story short, I dated this chick who, she, like, we went to Catholic schools around that fucking area around the hip, and she was a freak. I talked her into an orgy and all this, that's how all the schoolgirls are, they're like, no priests to give them that.
Something about being told that sex is wrong and evil makes it really appealing.
Yep. Same thing with the repression of canceled comedy or weed,
well, yeah, it was like when weed became legal, they were like, a lot of less like middle schoolers are smoking joints. Yeah. Because it's not cool anymore.
Side note that's funny is during lockdown, there's a dispensary literally a block away from here. I could sprint there. And Ryan Sandberg, the Cubs player, was signing autographs there.
At a dispensary?
Yeah. And it was like just because he wanted some extra cash. Yeah. And now he actually has cancer. So he actually has now he actually has to smoke weed. Yeah. But what the fuck? So I forgot. Yeah, so I was dating this girl and she I talked her into all this freaky shit, and then when her mom found out, like, imagine I am in. This is romantic Phil, all right? I'm a fucking natural romantic, okay?
Phil the romantic. Yeah, let's hear about it.
That might be a character in that dude's book. So I was like, I was madly in love with this chick. It's a first love thing, Every song reminds me of her. Yeah. Every fucking you farted and it sounded like her farts. So
they even smell like them too.
Yeah. So like, yeah, do you eat Gouda cheese? It's her favorite. Yeah. But so I one day I just go, typical day in the summer, to go pick her up. And I'm like, oh, is Kim here? And her mom's like, no. I know exactly what you did to my daughter. I'm like, which part?
Yeah, which one?
So and she's like, no, she's gone and you'll never see her again. And I was like, what the fuck? And I kind of went home. I was like, this will blow over in 3 days. Yeah. She calls me from a payphone 3 days later. Her fucking cunt mom sent her to a Jesus camp in Montana. And for all of high school. So I just, you know what I'm saying?
The fucking, like a compound? Like, joined a cult?
Yeah, dude, seriously.
Oh my goodness.
And like, so for like so all those years from 16 to 23, I'm like, what's going on? Is she back?
Bro, you got dangerous love right there.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I'm so bad at this. I got someone inducted into a cult in Montana.
That's a Wild Phil romance.
Bro, I just imagine like one of those paperback novels with like Fabio on the cover with the long hair and the abs, but it's just you getting someone sent to Montana.
Dude, there's a guy that I heard on Legion of Skanks. Yeah. He writes hood rat romance novels. His name's Quan Mills. Yeah. And they have the same covers, and they're dude, even the titles are funny as fuck. Yeah. Like, the best-selling one is called This Bitch Got Roaches in Her Cribs. There's another one, like Old Thought, and the cover is like a 90-year-old woman with saggy tits and a bikini. It's, oh my God, it's so good. But yeah, so from like 16 to 23, I had such bad confidence. I mean, there were chicks who would fuck me, and I'm just like, no, I'm waiting for her to come back from Jesus cult,
Did you ever say sorry afterwards? Like were you ever like in such a bad way where it's like you would have sex and you would go like, I'm sorry at the end?
Oh, like are you talking about with other girls?
Yeah, like you apologize, you're like, I'm so sorry.
No.
Okay, that's good.
What do you think I am, British? Sorry about that. Sorry.
Like, yeah. Well, that's good. You weren't at that level. That's where it's That's where it's sad for everyone involved.
You know what's hilarious? One thing I remember when I was in, I went to Eastern Illinois. Yeah. And I was like 21 or 22. And what happened is this chick there were these two Italian chicks that always stuck together. And one of them had a crush on my roommate. And so she's like, I really want to go out with your best friend. I go, well, what am I going to get out of it? She's like, well, you could go out with my friend.
Yeah.
Honestly, her friend was disgusting. Like, she looked like a blonde China, the wrestler. Yeah. So what happened? So I was like, I went into troll mode because I'm still romantic Phil. You know, I'm like, I can't get a new girlfriend. So I'm like, I'm just gonna fuck around, like just be an asshole, you know? Yeah. So what happened is we're going on this double date. She goes, all right, we're just getting done taking a shower, so just you guys could chill. And my buddy's like, oh man, they're in the shower, like let's go chill in the room. So we're chilling in her room, and I'm like looking, you know, dude, I was in a Jackass and CKY. Yeah. So I go through her panties, and I find the vibrator, and I tell my friend, I go, yo, dude, take a photo of me trying to put the vibrator in my ass. And I drop my pants, and then I hear her coming out of the shower. So I only had my boxers. I started to dry my boxers. I'm like, quick, take the photo. And it's just me with, dude, I look homeless because I chipped my tooth in rugby. Yeah. So I have like a half a tooth. I'm wearing a fedora, and I'm like sticking, I have this vibrator next to my boxers, you know? You know how dudes' boxers look like shredded. Yeah. So it looks so fucking bad. And I'm like, oh, you know what's going to be funny is I'm going to set this as my MySpace photo. And I set it as my MySpace photo. Yeah. And instantly, like, 200 likes. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get her back. Like, it's so funny. They know I took her vibrator. Dude, I look at the photo. Karma, man. The joke, my nutsack was hanging out of my boxers like 3 inches down. Yeah, dude. It was so disgusting, dude. Oh my God. But yeah, dude. Oh man. But yeah. But what I was saying is like, yeah, I was awkward up until that point, and then when I started playing in a band, dude, I'm not. I keep saying I'm not a cocky guy, but it just rolled in. Yeah. It was a new girlfriend every week, no joke, because. I don't know, like being a musician, and that builds confidence immediately. Yeah, you know. Plus, that was like the peak of all those fucking dating sites too. Yeah, you know, that shit was so funny because I wrote a bit about how funny it is that like all these tech, you know, like progressive guys from San Francisco. You know, you got to be educated to be woke, is what they say. They're making these dating sites, right? Because it's going to bring us closer together and diversity. But then you go on the dating site and there's like racial preferences, you know? And the funniest thing, you know why they stopped that?
Why?
True story. Because nobody went for Asian men. I'm not even kidding, dude. Oh my God. But I went through the salad bar, man. I was like, I'm going around the world.
Yeah, I'm sprinkling a little of that on there, sprinkling around. That's crazy. So when they first started, they had like, I prefer this race.
Well, I think they did that because there would be like, you know, I'm Muslim, so I can only date other Muslim women. But eventually they just did everything. Like, I'm looking for a Caucasian. I'm looking for a Japanese chick, you know, just like all those, you know. So yeah, they did have that. They had that.
Super woke of them. Yeah. They, you know, it is funny too, because like you will see it where it's like they go so far left that it ends up coming back to the right. Yeah. You know, like I just like, guys, I think you figured out where the edge is, and I think you might have pushed it a little too far.
Yeah, man. You know what made me I'm going to get canceled for this podcast. I really am. But dude, one thing that made I was like dying from laughter after this date. I wanted to date a black chick. Yeah. So I go on those websites and I type in, you know, looking for black chicks, whatever, you know, date who wants to match. And I'm like, I'm a fucking ignorant white dude. I'm looking for a twerking chick from a rap video. You know what I mean? And I end up getting paired with this black chick who was like, she was like into that anime shit. You know, she had the hairband with the kitty ears, you know, and shit. So she comes over to my house. I had a condo at the time. She comes over to my condo, and, you know, I'm like, I'm expecting like a hood chick, but she's like this hipster anime nerdy black chick. And you know what I didn't realize was she saw my photo. So she was trying to be like this white hipster. And I saw her photo, so I'm like, I want her to be a hood freak, you know? So she comes over, and I didn't know what to do. And, you know, we started like feeling each other up, and she's like, all right, motherfucker, this is going to be one time and you ain't talking to me because she didn't want to fuck the first date.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the chick. I cracked her. That's what I was looking for. You know? Like she started going wild, but oh man, no, those dating sites were so, dude, there were those there's so many weird situations that I ran in on those things. Like I'm trying to write this bit. I told this story before the Burbies and everybody there was like, Phil, you're fucking crazy that you didn't make this into a bit yet.
Yeah.
I had chicks where I met on there that like they wanted me to be their art manager for their studio. I'm like, this is a fucking dating site, you dingbat. You know, like what
go on Craigslist.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
But then here's the weirdest experience that I had. I matched with this chick and like I found out later she was spoiled rotten. She's from Oak Park.
Yeah.
She went to DePaul to be a lawyer and she was like on all these antidepressants, whatever. And I go to her house and dude, she was so rich. She had one of those apartments that's downtown and it was like from the 1930s. So it was a studio apartment, but in the middle of it was like one of those bathtubs where the curtain goes in a circle.
Oh, like one of the ones where it's like straight down?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That,
it reminded me of the bathroom in The Shining.
Yeah.
You know? And I come over, I'm like, so what do you want to do? And she's like, well, I want to know that I can trust you, so why don't we take a bath? I'm like, bitch, I just took a shot.
That is the strangest trust exercise I've ever heard. They definitely haven't done it on any of the corporate retreats. Maybe an idea for somebody out there.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know? And I'm in this fucking, so I'm like, I'm self-conscious. I'm like, I know I look like a punk rock rat in my photo, but are you doing this because you want to fucking make sure I'm clean? When I just took a shower, bitch, you know? So we get in this bathtub.
I just want to make sure you've bathed recently.
Yeah. So we're taking this fucking bubble bath, and she just wants to small talk. So what kind of music? And my boner is creeping out of the bubbles.
No.
Like I can't fucking take
float. It's starting to float.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't, and I it was so weird. I tried fingering her with my big toe, but I didn't clip my nails.
God, no.
So
I was thinking about that too, and you're like, I'm doing it with my toe, and I'm like, I know for a fact my big toe would fucking shred something.
And so I'm doing it, and I'm like, you know, and basically, I guess what she was trying to do in her rich antidepressant, hopped up mind was that she was like, listen, I could make you the horniest fucking person, but you're not going to take advantage of me type shit, you know?
You think it was like a Pretty Women type situation where she's like, I want trash. I want filth.
I don't know. Yeah. Filthy Phil.
Phil. Spelled PH.
Dude,
She's like, I want the crust punk.
I have no idea. It made no sense to me. And so what happened is, yeah, I got blue balled to the furthest extent. Cause after small talking about fucking our lives naked with my boner creeping, she's like, all right, well, you know what? Let's see each other this weekend. I'm like, dude, I was so blue balled. I go home on the L train at like 2 a.m. I'm like, I jagged off on the train because I'm like, this is torture.
That was you? Oh, it's crazy. Hey.
You know what it reminded me of? There was a guy on Rogan, this old dork. He made this, like, I forgot what the fuck it's called. It's like a book called like the Sting Dictionary.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
This dude made this. You know how they have like the Scoville meter for peppers? Yeah. He made a meter for how bad stings feel. Like a scorpion sting, a snake sting.
Yeah. Was he the one who did like the fire ants and shit?
Yeah.
He was the one who did went to the Amazon, he put his hand in the gloves?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know.
Yeah. And when they asked him, he goes, what's the worst sting ever? And he goes, well, specifically for men, he said there's like some spider, monkey spider or banana spider that when it stings a man, it goes through your most sensitive blood vessels. So you have like a 48-hour boner, and then you get a heart attack from how long you've had that boner. And that's how I felt when I got blue balled, bro. That's how I fucking felt. But
48-hour boner. That's an interesting, like, I feel like there's a spin on that where you're like, actually men are looking for this now. They're I want to go crazy for 48 hours and then fucking die.
No, they actually made that venom into dick pills.
Oh my God. Do you know what they're called?
No, I don't. But
it's called Cialis. Everyone look it up.
it's called like Cat Williams Sit Go Special. Like,
bro, it's probably what they put in those gas station boner pills.
Yeah.
Bro, I keep seeing those every time I go there, and like, out of curiosity, I want to buy them and see what happens, but I also don't want to do that. So I need to get someone around who I can be like, you're gonna be my test subject.
Bro, I'm gonna regret this. We were talking about death grips earlier.
Yeah.
You know that song? I keep giving good people or bad people good ideas. Yeah. I keep giving bad. I'm having someone's gonna steal this idea. I've had many ideas stolen that I've told you, But you know what my idea was? How you talking about sketches?
Yeah.
I really want to for a sketch, I wanted to take like the most homophobic, like most fucking like straight MAGA dude. I want to take him out to go whatever to some bar.
Yeah.
And then have like 5 gay dudes show up and spike that MAGA dude's drink with a boner pill, so that he thinks he's fucking, like, it blows his mind. Like, I think that'd be an awesome fucking prank. Like,
oh my God,
I did something similar. So when I was in my psychedelic band, there's a band called Brian Jonestown Massacre.
Yeah,
have you heard of them?
Yeah,
they're the ones that have the theme song for Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah, and
I went to San Francisco to try and like get a hold of them and network, whatever. And when I was there, I went there with 3 friends, and it was my one friend, this chick who's like a tomboy, she's cool as hell, and then my 2 guy friends. And I told them, I'm like, dude, we should go to this. They have this escort bar. We should fucking go. They fucking, it's basically like, it's not a strip bar, but they dry hump the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So we go there, and I had this was like 2010, so I had the disposable camera.
Yeah.
And I'm taking all these photos of my friends getting motorboated and fucking, they're making out. And then after, once the photos came out, it was a trans bar. I let them know.
We later learned.
Yeah. And then like, they were so pissed because when they look at the photo, they're like, how the fuck did I not know? But yeah, man. So you know what, man?
Phil, what's your favorite movie?
What's my favorite movie?
Yeah.
That's a weird question because I am me shitting on all these nerds, dude. I'm a fucking film nerd.
Yeah.
I have so many. Like, you'd have to give me genres. This will be a fun thing.
All right, action.
Action favorite number 1, Terminator 2.
Oh yeah, that one's hard to beat. That's one of those movies like, you watch it and you're like, that's as close to a perfect film as you can get.
Yeah.
Like, it's so well constructed. It's.
I'm trying to think what else action. I mean, it's kind of action, but it's also real drama. Is The Crow is one of my.
The Crow, yeah. I haven't seen that one in years. I feel like that's the kind of movie that like you're supposed to do heroin to.
Yeah, because Fun Boy doing morphine and
yeah.
stuff.
Well, it looks so dingy and like cruddy that it's like, I feel like this goes well with like 90s grunge, Kurt Cobain, Lee Haley. Just let's do some heroin and watch The Crow.
Dude, it's kind of funny, but it's absolutely true that, like, when people talk about like when they see something depressing, like a document, and it fucks them up.
Yeah.
Like, everybody had that with Blackfish, where they were like depressed. It did it to me. I was like depressed.
All the shit they did to Shamu.
Yeah, that happened to me with The Crow.
Really?
Like, everything, because like I had a really traumatic bringing up, and that's like that's an Avenger movie. He's coming back to make the wrong things right, and dude, that is the best soundtrack too. There's no better soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Stone Temple Pilots, Pantera, The Cure, 9 Inch Nails, Helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just Jesus and Mary Chain, Violent Femmes. Like,
I think it was definitely a movie for the time, like I said, because that was a 90s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fits right in.
That movie, I'm so obsessed. I have an action figure down here with it. I was obsessed with, dude. So here's a crazy fact, too, is that so that's the other thing, too. All my favorite movies, I know all the trivia on them.
Yeah.
Because I'll go
on IMDb and shit.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, dude.
When I'm watching a movie, I like to look on IMDb because you get that like background behind the scenes shit that's cool to see.
So everybody knows the death in The Crow.
Yeah.
Obviously. But then also, the last shooting scene
Yeah.
Where they're in that compound. That building is the same building where the Ninja Turtles for the first one is like the Foot Clan compound where Shredder's walking down. That's the same place. It's also the same place where...
Bro, I wanted to go to that Shredder compound. That place looked crazy.
Yeah, dude, that was...
Bro, they just had
cigarettes, skateboarding.
It looked so cool because I was like 12 at the time when I first saw it. And I was like, that looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I want to run away from my family, go to New York, and join the fucking Foot Clan.
Yeah, fucking steal shit, and you get your, like, a Walkman on demand.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh my God, I wanted to be Foot Clan. Yeah, dude, that movie is amazing, too.
Yeah.
But,
maybe not Oscar material, but still a good movie, yeah.
No, that to me is the only Ninja Turtle. That, and I like the second one.
Yeah.
You know? But those are the only ones. I refuse to watch the new ones because of that.
Yeah.
But
there was TMNT. That was like the name of the movie. I saw that one when I was in like junior high or elementary school. That one was pretty sick. It was an animated one though.
Yeah. Is that it's the 3D? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never seen them, but I'd have to check it out. But what was I gonna say? So here's another crazy thing about The Crow is like, Fun Boy is the one who shot him, right?
Yeah.
That's the scene. Where he's like going in his apartment.
Is that the scene where he gets like Brandon Lee actually got shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because it's a long fucking story, but they had little funding, so this is almost like boomer movie skill making because what they did is instead of having a blank. So here's the thing: he has a revolver, right? In revolvers, you have to have bullets in because you can see if the revolver is filled. So what they do is they just weld the barrel shut and have real bullets. So when he shot it, the weld broke.
That seems like the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard. That's like, because like, okay, don't worry, we're just going to fire this real bullet in your direction, but this little piece of metal is going to stop it.
And they even said it was worse than if he got shot by a Magnum.
Yeah.
Because that weld was so much shrapnel that they couldn't locate where the bleeding was in his spine.
Bro, that's crazy too. Because like now, like blanks, they're basically like everything except for the actual round.
Yeah.
So it makes the sound. It does it makes the flash.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually shoot a projectile.
Yeah, yeah.
Which that makes so much more sense. Why would they just?
Yeah, dude. I saw a video where this I want to kill this guy. This other crow nerd like me. He has the actual trench coat that he got shot in. Yeah. Like the actual one.
Oh my God.
And he fucking and he like over the years collected everything, the shirt that he had with the holes, the pant. So here's the story I was going to tell with the Crow that's crazy is Fun Boy, because he shot at Michael Massey. Yeah. He got so depressed that he killed this guy that he wasn't in movies for like 15 years.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. You kind of
And so what happened is
spoils the magic a little bit.
Yeah. And so and you got to remember, like, to be honest, everybody said, like, people think a lot of times because actors are so good, you think they're as tough as the character they're playing. Yeah. They're really like little artsy bitches in real life, So he was devastated. And what happened is 2010, the only Comic-Con I've ever been to, here I am shit on nerds, right?
Yeah.
But the Crowcast was going to be there. Yeah. And that was the first time Michael Massey went into public from because he was so depressed. Yeah. I met him. Remember Michael Wincott? He's Top Dollar. Do you remember his bodyguard, the black dude?
Yes.
He's the same guy who's Candyman. Tony Todd, I think.
Was he the one who put the cigarette out on his tongue?
No, that's Tintin.
Okay, because I remember the scene where they like, for whatever reason, they put a bullet on their tongue and then they do a shot and swallow all of it. Dude, what? I wanted
Fire
to know.
It up.
I wanted to know what was the origin of that. Like, where did that? We're gonna do a shot, but we're also gonna swallow a bullet at the same time. Like, could you imagine shitting out a bullet?
Yeah, dude.
Bro, you'd talk about shrapnel. Your fucking toilet would be in pieces.
I would think, like, couldn't your stomach acid set that off in your body?
Something, dude. I would be worried about some sort of chemical reaction. Come on.
They should make that in some comedy action movie where, like, in case I'm in a hostage situation, I swallow a bullet every day at 7:00. Yeah. So I have one bullet to shoot.
Yeah. You're like, all right, cool. It's time to do it's time to shoot somebody. Let me just bear down real quick.
Yeah.
Nobody look at me. I gotta go squat in this corner.
But what happened is the bodyguard is he's Candyman. He's Tony Todd. He's the guy who right after Fun Boy ODs, he goes into his apartment and he sees the bird fly out of the window.
Yeah.
That's so yeah, it was Tony Todd, Michael Massey, and then Ernie Hudson, which is the black cop.
Yeah.
He's the black Ghostbuster, you know? So I met them a year later. Michael Massey killed himself because it brought up like you got all these crow nerds.
Yeah.
How did it feel to kill somebody?
Yeah, dude. I to be honest, I'm confused by his thought process of like, the first thing I'm going to go do out in public after being in this traumatic thing that happened to me related to this film is going to be related to that film. Like, how is that not just inviting disaster?
Yeah. He needs some EMDR, some hypnosis in his life.
But
I
can't. His therapist, no way he greenlit that.
Yeah. But so you were saying best action movies T2. I mean, I guess The Crow. Yeah. I'm trying to think what the fuck else is like.
I like Aliens.
Yeah, Aliens is good.
Aliens, because that was one of those movies where it's like my dad showed me when my mom was on like a business trip. It was one of those like, don't tell mom, but I'm going to show you this badass movie. Yeah. And he showed me Aliens. And I remember I always loved the line where it's like they're under the cooling tower and they're like, oh, we can't shoot off live rounds because we might blow the whole place up.
Yeah.
And one of them goes, what are we supposed to use? Harsh language? And I always remember that line just cracked me up. And it was cool too, because like the first one was Alien.
Yeah.
And then I remember there was like an advertisement for it, Aliens, where it's like the black screen and then Alien gets scratched in and then it scratches in the S. Yeah. And I'm like, that's brilliant marketing material.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, you remember how bad one was. Now there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
This is going to get crazy. And it does. It's awesome.
No, that's the best. I would say that's the best sci-fi franchise.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was like you know what's weird about me though? I think it's 80% nostalgia.
Yeah.
I love Alien Resurrection, and people hate that movie.
Yeah. It's one of those movies I think it gets judged more harshly because it followed Alien and Aliens, which are like certified classics.
Well, it followed Alien 3, and Alien 3 was shit.
Yeah. So where were they? The bar was low.
Yeah.
What were you expecting?
The argument is that Alien Resurrection was like there's too much complicated thing.
Yeah.
Like where they took her blood, so it's not her, it's a clone of her.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody in that fucking Ron Perlman is in there. He's a fucking asshole. You know? Like, oh, dude, I love that.
Was that the one with the guy who plays Chucky? The guy who plays Charles Lee Ray?
Yeah.
That guy, yeah. Okay.
I love that dude.
Bro,
man.
That guy, I swear to God, like, he looks like he's been coated in Vaseline. Like, just the way he looks is kind of slimy.
Yeah. Yeah, Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah.
That guy, I love that guy. He's in a lot of, like, horror movies.
Yeah.
He's great.
He's got the face for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just look at his face and you're like, I feel unsettled. He doesn't even have to do anything.
It's funny that we talk about bullets. Do you remember the third Chucky?
Yeah. Where he replaces the blank rounds with the fucking...
With real bullets and ROTC.
I'm not even going to lie. The third Child's Play movie is my favorite.
Yeah.
And it's not the one people are like, that one was bad. And I'm like, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like the end scene with the carnival... I thought back out like on it years later. I was like, the fact that, you know, that like big carnival ride they had?
Yeah.
That there's no fucking way that like a traveling circus just sets that up for a weekend and then tears it down.
Yeah.
And then there's no way, but it's fun. It's a great set piece.
Yeah. I don't know dude, I'm trying to think. What's your favorite action movie? So you said Aliens, and then what else?
John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
John Wick was one of those movies where
I like the first one. I'm not too nuts about the other ones. I don't know why.
The other ones, I think it's because they tried way too much to put a plot to it. Because the first one is very simple. It's literally like, all right, this retired assassin gets fucked over by this guy who's really well connected. He's like this big mob chief's son. And so it's basically just an excuse for carnage.
Yeah.
And then the second one was like, oh, and now there's like a blood oath that he has to fulfill. And then the third one's like, oh, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like it was a movie that didn't really need a plot, but they started to invest a lot in the plot. And it's like, I'm just here for the action sequences. But that first one, I look at it as like a perfectly paced film. because the first 30 minutes is literally just building up that, like, okay, this guy's obviously clearly very upset. He has this dog from his wife that died of cancer. It's like the last thing to remind him of her. And then these guys come in and kill the dog and steal his car. And he also just happens to be the most badass assassin in the world. Yeah. And the scene where the mob chief is telling his like bodyguard, like, yeah, this dude's gonna kill all of us. And like John Wick is banging the floor with a sledgehammer to dig up his old guns and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like... And then right after that, the first action sequence hits. That's perfect pacing. Mm-hmm. Like, they just set it up so well to the point where you're like, I cannot wait to see this man shoot somebody in the face.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, action is hard.
Plus, like, the John Wick movies, I think, kind of brought action back a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, for a long time, that's
like the only fucking action movie that's around.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was like... Because for so long, I think it was like the 2000s and the 2010s, it was like that shaky cam bullshit where you couldn't really see the action. It was like, yeah, they're hitting each other.
You know who set the fucking standard for that? It was Matrix.
Yes.
That's what it was. And Matrix is good.
It is. And it's like, again, like when you can show, because like John Wick has long takes. Yeah. And it's like it looks like they're fighting for like 10 seconds on camera, which in fight choreography distance is like light, like... eons of just being like, well, we have to choreograph every single hit. You can't just be like, all right, I'm going to do one shot of me throwing this punch, one shot of you going like, oh, another shot of you falling to the floor.
Yeah.
It's like all of that is in one shot.
Yeah.
And it's just like the action set pieces really were cool.
You know what I would say right underneath Terminator 2? Fucking True Lies.
True Lies. I never saw that one.
Oh, dude.
Wait, maybe I did. What was the plot to that one?
The premise is stupid as fuck. Because it's Arnold being James Bond, basically. Yeah. Because he's a FBI guy. Well, you see a thing like
is that the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But just the scenes in there are fucking. I mean, it's like John Wick because he's chasing this terrorist on a crotch rocket, and Arnold's riding a horse, and then he's got to take this horse on the elevator to a skyscraper.
Yeah.
So he's got to jump from one building to another, but the horse is too afraid to jump. You know, like. And then he's in a what is it called, the F-15 airplane?
Yeah,
it's fucking awesome. And you know what's so funny is like so many people said that movie gave terrorists a bad name, or they gave like Iraq, but the actors are like, oh man, it made us look badass. Yeah, like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? It's like the Louis C.K. thing, like. Nobody he jagged off in front of was complaining. Yeah. Just other people were like, that must have been horrible.
Yeah.
But, I can't think. There's so many good movies.
Yeah, dude. I always say like number one is probably Scarface for me.
For action?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that movie's not necessarily an action movie. It's kind of like a crime drama.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, number one overall pick, because I've watched that movie like 2 times in a row, multiple times.
So many people hate that movie, and I totally get it, because every cringeworthy, like, wannabe hood drug dealer in your neighborhood has a poster of it, fucking boxers or whatever you know. But you know that I love that movie because this is gonna sound so gay, but being an immigrant, dude, that opening scene where that the music and that scrolling like
boom.
Yeah,
that
that shit makes me emotional.
Yeah,
seriously, because it's like, you know, Castro's being like, "Oh, you want all these fucking traitors who don't like communism? We don't want that trash. Get them the fuck out of here." That's like every, like, you know, and you see these immigrants going to America trying to live the American dream. Yeah, like that shit. I could relate to that
because like I love that movie too, because like every scene in it is basically Tony Montana putting his nuts on the table and moving up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he takes a risk, he does something ballsy, and he moves up in the whole scheme. Like the scene where, like, one, obviously that dude was like, I'm going to cut you up with a chainsaw, and he didn't even flinch, which is insane. Yeah. But then he does that, he gets the drugs, and then Frank's slimy underboss guy is like, you're going to bring him to me. And he goes, no, I'm taking him to Frank myself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's funny about that movie? It started a trope that I've seen with a lot with Scorsese movies, which is the movie, like 2/3 of the way through, it's all on the up and up, and then there's a montage of like success and awesomeness, and then the rest of the film is straight downhill.
Tragedy, yeah.
Because it's like he did it in
Casino.
He did it in Casino. He did it in Wolf of Wall Street. But Goodfellas. But like I think all those movies are old, like newer than Scarface.
Yeah.
So like that was like the trend was just like, okay, everything's awesome, montage. All right, it's going down now.
You know what I heard that's funny, because I love fucking mob movies. That's like its own fucking genre. So I grew up around all the guys. I mean, I've said this before, and I keep saying I've said this before, but all of Casino, it's about Chicago, right?
The movie?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What
do you mean?
Like, it takes place in Vegas.
Yeah.
But what happened is, so Capone, he expanded. It started with Capone in Chicago, and he expanded so much in Chicago. They're like, where the fuck can we make more money? We've done everything we can here.
Yeah.
And they're like, this guy in real life is Lefty Rosenthal, who Rob De Niro plays. He's this Jewish guy.
Yeah.
He's like, he's running shit in Vegas. We could really get shit going there.
Yeah.
And so those scenes where they go to Kansas and they leave off the money? Mm-hmm. All those guys grew up in my old neighborhood. And I've run into them. And one of the guys, he does mob tours now because he did his name's Frank Calabrese Jr. Yeah. He was the son of one of the mob leaders, and he ratted them all out because he was coked out and paranoid.
Wait, the guy who runs these tours ratted them all out?
Yeah.
No shit.
So what happened is in 2005, it's called the Family Secrets Trial.
Yeah.
And here's what happened. Frank Calabrese Sr. grew up around Elmwood Park, which was 1 block away from where I grew up. It was literally across the street. I grew up on the border of Elmwood Park in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the part that I was going to tell you that's funny is there's this sort of like rule of thumb for mob guys where in New York, you're supposed to bring your family into the family business, and they're all like flashy and shit. Chicago was the opposite.
Yeah.
They're like, kill as many fucking people as you can and get money, set up a legit business, and then pull out.
Yeah.
And don't be flashy. So the truth is a lot of mob guys in Chicago, they just look like union guys.
Yeah.
They look like a Carhartt ad.
Yeah.
And so they were asking Frank Calabrese, they're like, wasn't it funny when you would go with your friends to see Casino, and you're like, damn, I don't remember wearing an awesome silk suit, like I'm wearing fucking,
jeans,
Dickies,
and,
So, but yeah, they were talking about how funny it was that they're like, we didn't bury that guy there, So, but yeah, that's
take some creative liberties with the truth. Why not?
Yeah. What happened with Frank Calabrese was the dad, and then Junior was the son, and the son went to the same high school as me.
Yeah.
And they talked about like, you remember how I said like in New York they're trying to get you into the family business, but here they're trying to go legit. Mm-hmm. Frank Calabrese broke that fucking rule. Because what he did is he was one of those dads. He's like, why don't you walk to football practice, you fag, So one day he tells his son, he goes, you know what? I'll drive you to practice this time, And he took his son, and then he goes to his garage. He goes, hey, can you go get something in that garage for me? He puts him in there, slams the door behind him, throws a knife in there, and he goes, there's somebody we're going to execute there, and you better kill him or he's going to kill you. And that's how he blackmailed him into the mob.
Bro, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And it used to be called the Calabrese necktie. They used to to let him know that it was the Chicago mob. They would cut his throat and pull the tongue out.
Of the I think they call it like a Colombian necktie too.
Yeah. And there was just so much
which that's how you get caught being a murderer is you have a fucking calling card.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, by the way,
I'll leave butterflies in their throat like Buffalo Bill.
Every time I kill him, like, I wonder if these murders are connected. Huh.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah, but yeah, so what happened is Frank Calabrese, the dad, he buried like millions of dollars. Like I think it was $7 million.
Yeah.
In Elmwood Park, you see them everywhere, but you ever see those 3 flats? They all look the same.
Yeah.
They're like 3 flats, they're always beige. The driveway goes all the way to the backyard, and the garage is in the backyard. What they used to have is the oldest family, like the original mob guys, would be in the basement, so they don't have to walk up all the stairs.
Yeah.
And then the youngest kids are at the top. when his dad got locked up, his son stole all the money because he was a cokehead. And he was using it all on coke.
And dude, $7 million worth of cocaine.
Yeah. But when he stole it, they immediately busted all of them. Yeah. And he was so coked out and he was so shaky in jail without coke that he wrote an anonymous letter to the FBI. He goes, yo, listen, I'll rat everybody out as long as you don't get me killed, because I'm locked up with everybody who wants me killed. Yeah. I'm locked up with everybody who's like, yo, your son, man, he's a fucking cokehead. Somebody's got to off him, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how he ratted him out. So what happened?
I can't believe he didn't tell the FBI, like, I'm willing to rat all these guys out if you just give me a little bit more coke.
Yeah.
I just went through $7 million worth. I'm itching.
Yeah. and dude, his book is so funny. They were talking about how, like, Cook County jail in downtown.
Yeah.
It's like a triangle.
Yeah.
And the windows.
The one that's like the 30-story one?
Yeah. Yeah. And you notice the windows, they're like half a foot by 3 feet big. Mm-hmm. They're like slits. So he would have like Giordano's deliver there, and he would just like string up the pizza through a perfect slit, you know? It reminds me of like in Ninja Turtles when they fucking, you know.
Yo, dude, slip the pizza down in the sewers.
Yeah. So
that's what we call a callback.
Yeah. But so what happened is they went to jail. He rats him out, and then they put the son under witness protection in Arizona, and he just used that $6 million to open a pizzeria there. 5 years passed.
They never came for the cash.
Well, no, he took the money. They didn't know that he stole it.
Oh, so they didn't know, because I figured that would be like the FBI would probably be like, that's evidence.
They didn't know that, like, you know, there were these holes in the backyard. Yeah. What was in there, you know? Yeah. So but 5 years later, all these old fucking farts die in prison after getting busted. So he came back, and now he does tours.
Interesting.
And it's so, I met him, and dude, I was nervous because this motherfucker has sausage fingers, and I'm like, dude, imagine getting choked out by that fucking gorilla hand, you know?
Yeah.
But and it was the thing that made me laugh the most on the tour, like a little karma thing, was they used to extort Connie's Pizza. Before Connie's expanded and it was frozen pizza, it was just one location. Yeah. And the reason why they stayed one location was because they laundered money through it. So on the tour, Frank is like, hey, you know, guys, if you get hungry, go to Connie's. It's good karma for me. But
I still launder money through there, so just, you know, keep going.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was, yeah, man. That I love all this money. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know if I can name a top 10 of like drama of everything, you know, like
I'm trying to think, because like comedy's a tough one too, because there's a lot of them. Like for me, it's comedies that aren't necessarily like, oh yeah, it's like a super funny movie. It's just a movie that I like the vibe of. Yeah. There's one called Easy Money. Mm-hmm. It's Rodney Dangerfield and Joe Pesci.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and I found that movie because I was like on a Rodney Dangerfield kick. Wait, and I saw there's one with Joe Pesci, and I was like, well, I have to watch that.
Is that the one where Joe Pesci has a plumbing band?
Yeah,
yeah, that one's so good.
And the wedding cake falls out.
Yeah.
Well, because
there's like that chick with the huge tits tanning in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like just the plot is so silly too, because it's like, oh, you have to lose a bunch of weight in order to get this money. And then it's just like,
you got to sober up.
Yeah. And it, again, like, and at the end, he's like, all right, that was wonderful. Good night, Ma. And then he goes downstairs and he's just a degenerate again. Like nothing changed. There was no character arc.
Yeah. And that exercise bike, he,
fucking rides into the Christmas tree.
Yeah. That's the best thing in there.
Yeah.
My favorite comedies was I think it's the Farrelly brothers, which is, dude, literally, this is so goofy because there's so many things that me and my wife are polar opposites, but there's so many things that we exactly like the same thing. Yeah. The movie that we equally love the best as a couple is Kingpin.
Oh, with the bowling one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a funny one.
That's Farrelly. I think that's Farrelly brothers. They made all the Kingpin, Dumb and Dumber, Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene, all those raunchy comedy, and they like circulate the same actors, you know, fucking Shallow Hal, you know, like it's so funny. I love watching who they put in the next movie. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like in Kingpin, Do you remember the girl's boyfriend who's abusive?
No.
He's got like black slick hair.
Okay.
And he's the guy, like, they pick up that hot chick, and she's got that abusive boy. That guy is the cop in Me, Myself, and Irene. But then in Shallow Hal, he's like, when he starts seeing things right again, he's like the trans waiter lady, the front lady. And like, it's just so cool how they...
Well, that's the same with like Tarantino reuses a lot of the same actors. Like what, Stephen Ogg? The guy, he was one of
or even like Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Well, Adam Sandler, I have a conspiracy that he's not a real person and Rob Reiner just uses him to get work. Or what's so? Or what is that the guy's name though? The short dude that's always in his movies? Is it Rob Reiner? Or
Rob
is it
Schneider.
Rob Schneider. Yeah, he just exists to get Rob Schneider work. I always say that every time I see Rob Schneider. I'm like, it's good to see Rob Schneider getting work.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Rob Schneider fucking it blew my mind. This shows you what racist environment I grew up. I couldn't believe that he was Asian.
He is?
Yeah, he's Filipino.
Oh, interesting. I never knew that either.
He seems like the whitest dude to me, But he aged so well that if he was a white dude, he'd look like a nutsack.
Yeah, yeah, he looked like a handbag. Yeah.
Do you remember Surf Ninjas with him?
No, Surf Ninjas?
Dude, those are some of my favorite like obviously Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Do you remember Three Ninjas?
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, Surf Ninjas. You have to watch True Lies and Surf Ninjas, dude, because
is it like Point Break for kids?
I guess. Yeah. You know what it is because I know all the stats from IMDb. So, do you remember Kino from Ninja Turtles 2? The Filipino pizza guy?
Yeah.
When that guy, here's some nerd trivia. Kino, that Philippine Ernie Reyes Jr., that's his name. He, in the first Ninja Turtles, he was, I think, Michelangelo. He did the stunts.
Yeah.
And then in Ninja Turtles 2, he played the pizza guy and still did Michelangelo's thing.
No shit.
So they're like, do you want to write your own fucking movie? So he wrote, I think he's Filipino or Thai. So he wrote Surf Ninjas, which is, it's so goofy. The plot is weird because it's like he basically finds out that he's like this Thai Filipino prince, and eventually they're going to try and assassinate him. But in the movie, his little brother can predict everything because he's playing a game on his Sega Game Gear. So it's almost like they made the movie to advertise Sega Game Gear.
Oh, it's like the Wizard for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but dude, the movie is so funny because it's Ernie Reyes Jr., his little brother, and then their best friend is Rob Schneider, who's like 30 years old, but he's playing a high school kid.
Ah, classic.
And he's basically like what white, what like wiggers are when they hang out with black people. Mm-hmm. Rob Schneider is when he's hanging out with these two like Asian princes, but the best part of the movie, the villain is played by Leslie Nielsen. He's like a drug lord in a samurai outfit, and he got half his face burnt off, so he has like a two-face metal plate. It's one of those movies that's so ridiculous that it's good.
Yeah.
Like, do you like?
How did this get made?
Yeah. I love all those stupid fucking movies. Like, do you remember Mr. Nanny? With fucking Hulk Hogan plays like
I've seen clips of it though.
Yeah. Or there's like Blank Check, those stupid fucking movies, Oh man. Or you know what else? Heavyweights. You remember that?
Heavyweights. Was that one
where they go to fat camp and then Ben Stiller's the psychotic like fitness instructor?
Yeah. Bro, it's so funny. Ben Stiller seems like such a nice guy, but he plays such a convincing asshole. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Like, cuz he in Dodgeball he was an asshole.
Tropic Thunder,
he was Tropic Thunder, he was less of an asshole, more of just like completely full of himself.
Yeah, dude. Oh man.
Bro, he dropped that out there. I'm trying to think of another. There's another good movie called Brewster's Millions. It's with Richard Pryor and John Candy. Basically, Richard Pryor plays like a down and out minor league baseball player, and he finds out that he is the sole heir to a $300 million fortune. Mm-hmm. And the guy who died said in the conditions, like, okay, here's what's going to happen. you can either take $1 million and walk away right now.
Yeah.
Or I give you $30 million and you have to spend it all in, I think it was like 30 days or like a month, like a little bit more than a month. You have to spend $30 million and own no assets, have nothing.
Yeah.
And the whole movie is just him spending money like crazy. It's hilarious. Like he gets a bookie. And one of the things too is like he can't have money, so he's like, okay, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of money at stupid shit. He was like, a bookie shows up because he puts out this advertisement like, yo, I will give money to basically fucking anyone. Bring me an investment, bring me whatever idea you have, I'll give money to it. And a bookie shows up and he's like, I want every long shot this week. Put me down for it, and they all hit.
It just makes me laugh because what I'm thinking is, I think 90s was the last era where Hollywood was like, listen, we're not racist anymore.
Yeah.
But this is the last era of racist, so we have to cash in on it.
Yeah.
So how many movies can we make where we take the most stereotypical black dude and just throw him money?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember like Trading Places?
Yes.
Yeah, like that.
That was a good movie. I like that one.
You know what I like to mention that nobody ever remembers this. I love like psychological thrillers. That's probably one of my favorite. Like Seven. Yeah. Even I watched Joker last night.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to think what.
Have you The Game with Michael Douglas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
You know what I was gonna mention when you mentioned baseball?
What?
The Fan.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Dude, that's the one no one remembers, and I love it even more because I don't know why, but they had 9 Inch Nails do the whole soundtrack.
Yeah.
But dude, The Fan is fucking awesome because of the 9 Inch Nails, it gets you. It's kind of like Uncut Gems. The music gets you anxious. The Fan is like Robert De Niro plays. He's a crazed baseball fan, and Wesley Snipes is like the best pitcher on. I think it's like the Baltimore Orioles or some shit. And Robert De Niro is obsessed with him. And in the movie, he's a knife salesman. Like, he just goes to hardware stores and he's like, listen, you should sell these Rambo knives here, these switchblades, And he keeps having a mental breakdown because he's going through a divorce. And he starts stalking Wesley Snipes.
Did Robert De Niro somewhere along the way get typecast as the guy who goes crazy? Because, like, Taxi Driver, Kings of Comedy, this movie, like, I just why does that keep popping up for him?
I don't know, man.
If I ever write a movie where a loner loses it and starts doing dangerous shit, I got to get Robert De Niro. That's all I know. Yeah.
It's like with that meme where we're having a cop movie in Boston, Mark Wahlberg's running.
Yeah.
You know what I liked with Mark that was new that not a lot of people heard? Did you see that Spencer Confidential?
No.
I like that movie. It's I never really seen a lot of Mark Wahlberg movies. Maybe that's why, because it's probably just a replica. But it's just about he's like a cop who, he notices corruption in the cop community, so they frame him and they throw him in jail. So when he comes out, he tries to like really set them up, you know. But man.
Didn't he also play Max Payne?
Yeah.
So, Mark Wahlberg.
And dude, I actually like that movie because that was one of the movies that I thought went really accurate with the game.
Yeah.
Did you play it as a kid?
No, but I have a buddy who loves it, and he keeps telling me all about it.
Yeah, dude. When I first got into, like, PC, I think that's when, like, right when GTA got big, like Vice City. Yeah. That's when computer games got really good.
Yeah.
And I remember all those, like, Hitman, Max Payne. There's even the
Silent Hill type shit,
Even the first Harry Potter was good.
Yeah.
And like, but yeah, Max Payne, that game freaked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's about?
Kinda. Like he's a cop, right? And like something fucked up happens to his family and he goes on a rampage.
Yeah, he's a cop and there's like something fucked up that happened because in the city there's this new drug that's stronger than like heroin and meth.
Yeah.
And people, when they take it, they see angels coming out of the sky, and so they try to attack them or they kill themselves. Yeah. And in the game,
why would people continue to do that drug?
Yeah,
that seems like one bad trip and I'm out. Why would you be like, dude, you know what? I loved seeing the angels that were coming to kill me. I'm going to do this again.
Because they're white people with dreads who go to, Burning Man, and they're like, you know what we should do?
Yeah.
No, but in the game, there's these moments where like it's all dark and you're just following this blood vessel and there's babies screaming.
Yeah.
It traumatized the shit out of me as a kid.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And eventually you have to take the drug in order to catch all these killings. So yeah, it was.
So you get to see the angels.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not know that whole angle. I just remember like the slow-mo gunfight things.
Yeah. That's like another thing that like I was hoping like Silent Hill. A lot of people hated the movie because it didn't do justice like with the game.
Yeah.
Same thing with Resident Evil.
Yeah.
You know, like the movie's kind of.
Well, those made money. Didn't they make like 8 of them?
They did make a shit ton of money. Yeah. But I do wish like I want, you know, you get those moments where you're just fucking insomnia and you go on a YouTube rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I watched the 3D Resident Evil movies where they just it's basically like watching the cutscenes.
Yeah,
of the game.
put the cutscenes of the game together.
But it is cool. It is fucking cool. But you know what else is I gotta mention that's fucking awesome is all these people about zombie shit. They're talking about like Walking Dead. Have you ever watched Black Summer?
No,
dude. I'm telling you, man. It's a Netflix series. It only had like 3 seasons.
Yeah. Like all good Netflix shows, it gets canceled.
but that is, in my opinion, the best. I mean, they had that new one. What is it, The Last of Us or some shit?
Yeah.
I never watched that yet, but Black Summer came out during lockdown. That zombie thing is like, it's like John Wick pace. It's just non-stop fucking action.
Which is good, because that was always like The Walking Dead. I could never get past the second season because it just got so fucking slow.
It was so emo.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just these like, all right, so now we have time to cry about everybody who died.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, bro, I'm watching this show to see you shoot zombies. I'm expecting George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, and you're giving me like the fucking Downtown Abbey. Like, come on.
Yeah, dude, that Black Summer, there's like... So the zombies, so the thing in Black Summer is everybody is already infected.
Yeah.
And the problem is that you turn into a zombie the moment you die. So there's just like these John Wick scenes where they're looking for firearms in this Honda Civic, but then like these MAGA guys in a lifted truck are chasing them, and they're trying to fucking get them so they can get their fucking guns and everything.
Yeah.
So the guy looks behind him, and he accidentally swerves. Hits a fucking tree, and the guy driving didn't have a seatbelt, but the passenger did. So he flies out, busts his head on the log, and then tries to attack the guy in the seatbelt because he died. You know, like it's just nonstop fucking action. You know,
that's a crazy concept. I always liked like 28 Days Later.
Yeah,
because that was the one where it was wild because they were like, oh yeah, zombies can sprint.
Yeah.
Zombies can sprint because like in like the old zombie movies, you know, they move super slow. They like the classic like arms out like. Exactly. They move at like a snail's pace, but then like 28 days later and like 28 weeks later, that opening scene where the guy like wakes up and is like hauling ass to this boat and barely gets in time because the zombies are sprinting after him. You know
what I love, because we haven't really talked about new movies. I fucking love all the A24 shit.
Oh, dude, they're doing it right. They really do. And
Midsommar and Hereditary are mine at the top. Top
tier.
Kind of tied with, I liked Talk to Me.
Yeah.
But people hated on it. I don't know why.
It was weird. From everyone I talked to who saw it, they were like, that was a very good movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, though. I'm a bit of a pussy when it comes to horror movies. So I avoided Hereditary for the longest time. I watched it. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. It was more like The Shining, where it's like, oh, this is just like a family falling apart.
Yeah.
It
was more psychological than gore.
This is more just like, this is really sad. But then again, that's kind of an A24 vibe.
Yeah.
It was funny story. You know the movie The Whale with Brendan Fraser, where he's 600 pounds. So I knew that movie was coming out, and I was on vacation somewhere with my family. We were in Florida. And I told him, basically, I'm like, listen, I want to go see this movie. You guys can just drop me off. Like, we don't need to all go see this. And they were like, no, we'll come see it together. And the first scene is him jerking off to gay porn. Yeah. And my mom leans to my sister and tells her, hit Jimmy for me. And she leans over and punches me. And as we were leaving the theater, they were like, oh, what did you think of it? And I'm like, that was a very challenging film. And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't really know how to explain it. But then we were in the car on the ride home, and my mom was crying, and my sister was crying, and I'm like, this is exactly what I mean.
You know what made me cry that I did not think would make
What?
it was fucking Brokeback Mountain.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's weird coming from me, but that movie, no. It was
I watched the first 5 minutes of that movie. I was trying to watch it on one of those sites where it's like, yeah, fuck it, we have movies, just watch it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't load, but I'm curious to see that movie because I heard it's really good.
It is good. You know, dude, it's such a bitch to watch movies now because everything has ads.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
It's obnoxious.
You know why I'm happy because I still have a terabyte filled with torrented movies.
There you go.
I have fucking like all of Game of Thrones on there, all of X-Files, you know.
Yeah.
Fuck you ads, you know.
Yeah.
That's another thing that X-Files doesn't get enough love.
Yeah, my parents love that show.
That there isn't like every fucking season there's 2 episodes that are shit and the rest is amazing.
Yeah, but I mean that's a TV show. You got to come up with what, like how many episodes a season, like 10, 20.
Yeah.
And they there's going to be a few stinkers.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's not a lot of, I don't think, of those type of TV shows where like this episode was you know what it is? It's like, I'll give you an example, like one of the best TV series that I watched recently that I finished. You ever see Righteous Gems?
Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah. That was awesome. And most series now, they're in that fucking like, you know how they said the Beatles wrote the perfect formula for song structure to be catchy? Somebody wrote the perfect formula where every fucking end of an episode is a clinger for the next one.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Game of Thrones was definitely like that.
But what I like about X-Files is like it doesn't matter if you watch the 4th season or the first one because it's a new file.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
That's what I like.
It's there's a word for it when it's like a TV show is either linear or it's just like episodic. I think that might be the right word, where it's just like, because like you can watch any episode of The Simpsons and not have to be
That's
like, wait.
how I describe my wife. If sometimes she's linear, sometimes episodic.
Yeah. The thought process changes. So I was curious. So you switched from being Wild Phil to using your real name. What was that decision?
So I'm writing an entire bit on it. And I kind of talked about it before, but I could just mention again. You know, so I kind of mentioned this before that like I was never I got bullied a lot because I didn't learn English till I was 12.
So wait, you immigrated here?
Well, I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
But I was 1 year away from immigrating. Like my parents immigrated here, and the next year I was born. So
you were first generation.
Yeah. And I grew up like with 20 Polacks in a small apartment. Yeah. Like we all had that. I'm telling you, that Scarface first generation dream of there's an opportunity here, and we got so calloused from communist, fucking slavery that we're gonna be successful here, and every single one of the people that I knew is like,
you wanted to come back home and hand your sister that big roll of $100 bills and be like, I'm a union delegate.
yeah and so like I got bullied so much, especially in my old neighborhood, like the Hip. It was all union guys and mob guys, Italian and Irish. Dumb Polak got called that every single day. And the funny thing is like funny thing is both my wife and I are Geminis, so we don't even remember how long it's been that we've been married. Yeah. We just have short-term memory,
Yeah. But, sure, there's a marriage certificate with a date on it somewhere around here. Yeah.
Where it's it's the type of thing where it's like, hey, I got you this for our anniversary, and she's like, oh, it is? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. It's okay. Like we don't fight about it.
It's the same way with my girlfriend, just because like we started dating and there was never like an official date of like, oh, we're dating now. It was just like, oh, like we've been hanging out. We're boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't really. So we have like a vague date, and so sometime in like August we go out and we're like, it's our anniversary.
Yeah. I just so the thing was, I was never proud of my name. Yeah. Because I got bullied so much, and to be honest, my dad left our family 2nd grade. Yeah. My mom didn't really raise me. Yeah. She just focused on her business. And I was that, there's that like, there's that woke YouTube channel where they talk about like what white privilege is, where black kids start, 20 steps behind.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I did.
Yeah.
I had to make, like if you fucked up, if you played whatever football and your dad's like, hey, you actually did this wrong. You learned it right there.
Yeah.
I had to do it 40 times and tons of humiliation before I learned it.
Yeah.
So to me, every time, Phil, fucking crazy Phil Isaki, he's fucked up. Like, so I was never proud of my name. And the other thing was like, I'd go to Mike's and I'd be like, nobody's going to be able to pronounce this and stuff. So then I did Wild. And the other thing was too, my influences change all the time. Mm-hmm. What got me like really into comedy first was the Jeff Ross roasts. I love Jeff Ross.
Yeah.
Then as I, strung along, I got into it through the web of roasters, Greg Giraldo, Sebastian Maniscalco. And then eventually I learned about, somebody actually told me at that logistics job, in this office job, I would just rant about these stories. And they're like, man, you're like the Joey Diaz of Chicago. I'm like, who the fuck is that? Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
And then they showed me, I didn't know what the fuck a podcast was.
Yeah.
And they showed me Joey, and I fell in love with Joey Diaz.
Joey Diaz's podcasts are insane. The ones where he would literally just be like doing bong rips and acids when he was eating those 250 milligram edibles, like they were fucking nothing.
Dude, the one that makes me laugh the most is when he's on shrooms with Theo Von.
Yeah,
that's the best one, dude. And they're talking about how Theo Von's like, I gave a fat bitch acid, and then I turned the lights off, so she ran through the wall, like she made, So, but
I thought, what was the one he did? One where he gave someone one of those stars of death, one of those super heavy ones, and you can tell because she's like she's clearly not doing well.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Do you need to get some air or something?" And he goes, "But just don't go for a walk in this park because they'll stab you." And that's just, you can see it go dark. Yeah, like she just starts to be like, yeah. It's like, oh my god, no.
But yeah, I so at the time that I said I'm gonna do my first mic, the person that I liked the most was Big J Okerson.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, I was like,
I was gonna say, you do remind me of him.
Yeah, it's a lot of people tell me,
Yeah.
And I just like, I was like, he has Big J Okerson.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why not put a fucking adjective in front of me? Manic Phil or Wild.
Yeah.
And I thought Wild Phil was cool just because I was like, I'm already like a typical open micer.
Yeah.
I'm already pre-planning because I'm going to be famous.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could get Wild Phil tattooed on my knuckles, So when I put them together.
Oh, what? That makes sense.
And like, I'm like, lucky, who's lucky is Kyle Allen because he can do,
Yeah.
like, so I was like, I was thinking about those things. And the other thing was like, I came to the point where I realized, I was like, why not just let people know who the fuck they're booking?
Yeah.
That, don't be surprised.
Just a name versus,
that I'm talking about, whatever. That.
What did you expect? You booked a guy named Wild Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I did that for a while, and it was like, Kyle Allen was the first one. He's like, drop that shit. And I had my big-headed open mic-ness. And then the straw that broke the camel's back was I had Ruben Ramirez on here, and he used to go by Baby Horchata. And he's like, dude, when you have a nickname, you look like a fucking douche. You look like a douche. I mean, imagine being a booker and you get some, big dick Jimmy Kappel. I don't want this. Who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What is this guy?
Yeah, that's crazy. You actually picked out the name I was going to use, and then you just knew it. So
that was one thing, and then the other thing was like, it was funny because I would go to like these. I just noticed naturally, black people have so much more fun with comedy.
Yeah,
it's the white woke bitches who are like, should we be offended? What do we do here? Let me just double check we're recording stuff.
Yeah, that'd be so funny if you fucking looked over there and you're like, yeah, we haven't recorded any of this.
But
the last 2 hours basically just didn't happen.
but yeah, I noticed that I would do like these vulgar, whether they're race jokes or vulgar jokes, and they got black people howling. But the thing that was funny was so many people would be like, yo, man, this motherfucker wild. who the fuck is you? What'd you do? Because it's I didn't realize it sounds like a SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah.
It sounds like it sounds like, the local black DJ that says, Bounce Castle and DJ Services on the back of his Buick window,
Yeah.
So, and then the thing that really, like, it choked me up was when Ruben Ramirez told me, he's like, yo, man, you are Phil Lishetsky, and you need to fucking own that name. You need to be proud of it. And I'm like, but no one's going to pronounce it. He's like, be so fucking good that you teach them how to fucking pronounce it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why not,
Yeah.
And there's still, like, my Instagram, Wild Phil Lishetsky. There's still people like Brando and Dylan are like, you're always going to be Wild Phil to me. I'm not fucking, if I'm hosting, I'm not saying Phil Lishetsky.
Yeah.
But also the other thing was, like, I realized there was a moment where, when I took those classes and stuff, you need to have silly be the priority.
Yeah.
And because I grew up with all these cunts in my family, to me, vulgarity equals funny.
Yeah.
And that isn't the case. You'll gross people out. Mm-hmm. You won't get booked everywhere. You need to have clean shit.
Yeah.
And I realized how much stuff, like, to me, the more disgusting it is, the funnier it is. Or the more, like, fucked up it is, the funny. Like, here's the shit that makes me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
I saw a YouTube video where this 16-year-old chick talks about, she was on Dr. Phil. Did you see the chick who got her face chewed off by a Rottweiler? She's like 16 years old. She's like, I love dogs. I love them so much that I'm vegan. And that's what I want to do. I want to eventually open my dog walking business. And this, like, rich ass yuppie, they're either Puerto Rican or Mexican. They get the stereotypical, fucking angry ass pit bull rescue. And they get them for, like, when you go to a rescue, it takes a few weeks to get it approved.
Yeah.
The week they got approved, they were going on vacation. So this chick goes to, like, whatever, baby dog sit them.
Yeah.
Dude, they chew her face off in like 6 hours. They ripped her to shreds.
Oh my God.
Like her lips are gone. She just looks like, like fucking Two-Face in Dark Knight,
Like that woman in Nope.
Yeah.
The chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord.
And she goes on Dr. Phil. They're reconstructing her face. And they're like, what do you think you're going to do from now on? And she's like, well, I still love dogs. Why would I stop? I couldn't stop. I'm like, you dumbass. What is wrong with you? That's the shit that makes me laugh my ass. I don't know. Or like the other day, I went and got a burrito at a Mexican place, and I saw they had a shrine for a random guy, and his name's Geronimo. And I'm like, did he jump out of a building screaming Geronimo? Like, that's the dark shit that makes me laugh. And so what I was getting to is, like, I was writing all these jokes that fit into this bracket. Yeah, I'll have them. Thanks, man.
No problem.
I was writing all these jokes that fit into this stupid fucking bracket of wild.
Yeah.
But I would go to these, these teachers and these comedians who are like, you gotta make silly the priority.
Yeah.
Because you need to relate to everybody. You're gonna piss people off. Silliness doesn't piss people off.
Yeah.
And when I started doing that, what I realized is, like, I would get off stage and people would be like people that don't know me, like, not our comedian friends, they'd be like, Wild Phil, you just did a set about your kid? Yeah. What's so fucking wild about that? Why don't you stepdad?
Yeah, like, you're kind of putting yourself into a box creatively. Mm-hmm. Like, you're like, okay, I have this name, so I have to live up to it, even if it's not necessarily what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that. That makes sense.
And the other thing, too, that I realized that made me evolve, it's got nothing to do with my name change, is the Bobby Lee aspect. Is what I realized. I don't know why. Making people uncomfortable makes me laugh. That's what Bobby Lee does.
Yeah.
The last show I saw before lockdown was Bobby Lee. He was at the Improv in Schaumburg. He started saying a gay joke about how not about gays, just how he, like, was forced into sucking someone's dick. and somebody's some fucking, you know, whatever, conservative old white dude just folded his arms. He's like, oh, here we go. And he's like, oh, you don't like gays, huh? Okay, here, one moment. And people thought he left, like he canceled the show. He went behind the curtain, got ass naked, and jumped onto his table, crotch first into his face. I have it on video. He's butt naked. It was fucking. I'm like, I didn't know I was gonna see Bobby Lee's dick today.
Yeah,
you know, like. It looks like a stubby cigar, by the way.
I was wondering. I was curious.
But
also, it's funny. I'm looking over at the audio, and I can see every time I laugh because it's just a fucking chunk.
Oh, yeah. No, it's all good.
I'm a loud motherfucker. That roast I was telling you about I had for my birthday, 90% of it was like, isn't he so fucking loud?
Yeah.
Like, he is obnoxiously loud. And I'm like, yeah, like yelling is my normal tone of voice pretty much.
Yeah, dude. I mean.
But they always, like... People always say, "Oh,
did you grow up in a loud family?"
I think they got loud because of me. I think because like my sister specifically, like she's really loud, but I think that's because in order to talk, she would have to talk over me, and so like we had that like duel of who can talk louder. But I always love when people are like, "Oh, you know, you don't have to be right. It's just the people who are loudest." I'm like, I'm okay with that because I'm the loudest.
Yeah. You know, what's a funny dynamic in my family is that. My grandmother-in-law, all my in-laws, most of them hate her because she's an old Jersey broad, and she's blunt as fuck. Literally, the first time I met her is what she says, and she's got the whole accent and everything. She's like, "So, how did you and Kelly meet? You know, let me ask something. So you're completely okay with?" You know, raising somebody else's child. You're okay with having a step son? I'm like, yeah. Well, you know, I was raised a bastard, you know, single mother family. So I figure, you know, do a little good and help this kid out. And she goes, so you're not a pedophile, is what you're saying? And I'm like, I love this, you know.
No, like, that's not what I'm saying. But no.
but so now that me and her know that we're like blunt as fuck, I think everyone hates the both of us because it's like they're like, oh, now we got two they call her Grambo, and it's like they got two Grambos now because every time I see my in-laws, like my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, they're like, oh, you put on a little weight. I'm like, yeah, you fat fuck. What's wrong with you? Fucking, why don't you jog and get the food for us? You know, like it's so funny, dude. You know, she set me off though, dude. This
What'd she do?
She tried to out troll me, and this is what happened. I was having my wedding, and my wedding was so stressful.
They always are.
This is going to be a long ass story. Right before the wedding, I came back from Amsterdam and I went to Amsterdam with my best man and my groomsmen, and I've never talked to them since. We beat the shit out of each other. And one of them was blind. I hit the blind.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck?
We fucking came back enemies.
Oh my god. What the hell happened in Amsterdam?
I was so stressed out that when I came back, I got this terrible. I was like breaking out on the left side of my face. Yeah. And when I noticed it because when I was outside, you know, when you bite your nails at work and you're bored, I bit my nail off on the right side of my face and it was fine. But when I didn't even bite through, it was horrendous pain. I felt like I was chewing glass and I didn't know what happened. So I got I grew up in the old mob neighborhood. I got a mob dentist who's a family friend that my mom did business for. So I went to him and he's like, listen, I'll give you a free x-ray. And I'm like, listen, I got a wedding coming up. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. My entire right side of my face, I have like some infection. My ear, I went deaf in my left ear.
Oh my God.
And he goes, your teeth are perfect. I know it doesn't look like it, ladies, but he goes, your teeth are fine.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what happened to you? He goes, you're the fourth guy that came here who got shingles before their wedding from the stress. I got fucking shingles.
You got fucking. And how old were you at that point?
I was fucking 34.
Yeah, you don't think shingles at 34? That's more like a 50, 60 type.
I thought shingles was like an old fucking people thing, but I guess shingles you could get it. Luckily, you have to get the vaccine in 2 days. It was the antiviral.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then it'll flare up later in life. When you get stressed, it'll come out. But I was like, dude, I look like Resident Evil here. You know, my face was coming off and shit. So luckily I got to kiss her in the wedding, but I forgot why I even got on this, what we were talking about.
Fuck, I don't remember either.
Yeah,
I got nothing. Bro, who do you like comedically? Like comedians.
Locally?
Well, I mean, like, who's your favorite just in general?
My favorite of all time was Louis C.K.
Yeah,
always,
good pick.
Always, man. And yeah, he just, I mean, that's, you know, I was gonna get at that is that I had so many fucking people telling me, you got to do this, you got to do one-liners first, you got to do this structure, and I'm like I said, Bob. Oh, I was talking about it like Bobby Lee. The uncomfortability is, I just love that uncomfortability.
Yeah.
You know, like I have a joke recently where I go, you know how you can. I dated this suburban chick, and I was like, I want to know if she's actually from the city. So you know what you do? Is you get her in a blindfold. It's not going where you think it's going. But then you give her famous stuffed pizza, and you're like, Giordano's or Lou Malnati's. But instead of Giordano's or pizza, you cum in her mouth, and then you do that thing where you stretch the cheese with the cum. But she ended up saying that it tastes like Giordano's because it's crusty, so it didn't work out. But
bro, you know how you actually tell if someone's from the city? You say, I'm from Chicago. They're like, oh yeah, what part? You say Naperville. And if they get upset, they're from the city.
Yeah,
that's how you know.
That is how.
That's how you know. That is exactly how you find out.
And I almost want to tell these, like, I left the city when I was 17 years old. We moved.
Yeah.
I don't miss it at all.
Yeah.
That's literally the opposite. Like, everybody's like, you know, I want to move. All the suburb kids want to move to the city. I'm like, dude, what do you miss? What do you miss? The taxi? Like, it's an easy fucking drive.
You know what happens? You know what happens is kids move to the city, and then they figure out, they're like, okay, I want to raise a family or like get married and shit. And like, I'm not going to raise a kid in a 2-bedroom apartment or a 1-bedroom apartment. So I got to move back out to the suburbs.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Cause like, I know people who it's like, they move to the city and then like after a couple of years, they're like, all right, I'm moving back out to the suburbs.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'd love to live in the city.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good experience. Do you live in the city right
now? No, I live in Wheaton.
Okay. But I mean, I just always feel like everything that I love in the city is easily 10-minute drive. You know? Yeah. I don't know if it makes me a fucking white dude with this whole American getup, but like, I love fucking bike trails. I love
nature.
You know how many times I woke up and my mom's like windows were busted, you know, or some shit like that. Like fuck that. You know, I don't. You don't know where to park.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, who is it? Someone said, some rapper said it's easier to find a gun than it is to find a parking spot. Yeah. That's
you know how I knew. I'm not gonna say who it was, but you know how I knew that they were acting like hot shit because they thought they were from the city.
Yeah,
and I knew they were the suburbs. They're one of the top comedians we see all the time. They go, oh, you're going to Zany's. I'll go, yeah, I'm going to see your set. And that's a hint. They're big enough to be at Zany's. But they're like, so where do you park? How much do you pay for park? I mean, I know you got to pay for parking, but I'll get you a count. I'm like, no, I never pay for parking. You know what you do is you go down a side street where it says permit only, and you park in the middle of that side street. None of those parking meter maids pay attention. Yeah. And I've done that I've done that for fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a ticket. You want to know this is too much. This is going to get me canceled. I was working at a logistics place, and the department that I was in, it was all like 20 black chicks who lived in the same area of the hood. So I had nothing to contribute to the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm coming over this weekend. You know, like I had nothing to and one day I came in and I got my first ticket for parking in the permit place.
No shit.
So I'm like, I don't know what to do. And one of the chicks is like, yo, talk to Gina. She know how to get out of that. I'm like, okay. I go, so how do you get out of it? She's like, okay. And she does it like she's opening up blueprints. She's like, so where did you park? It's like, show me where you parked. And we go over there where it says no permit. She goes, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang from that branch, and it's going to go in front of the sign. And you got to take a picture that you didn't see it because the city's supposed to trim the trees. I'm like, well, since I'm white, I don't know how much I want you hanging from a tree, you know? But thank you for helping me.
Yeah.
And I got out of it. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, I just, you know what I was going to say is like, what I noticed is a lot of the hipster kids who move from out of town into the city, a lot of them, it's like they don't believe in marriage. I mean, this is me being so judgmental, but they don't believe in marriage. They don't believe in like, you know, they're not even sure who they are or what they want out of life. So being around a lot of other people who are unsure and don't know what they want out of life, like it makes them feel like shit's happening all the time. Yeah. You know? And to me, it's just like...
To be fair, that's your 20s, though. Yeah. Most of the time is literally just like, I don't know what I want out of life.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure it out.
That's why when I see these motherfuckers who are in their 40s, they're working at a coffee shop, and they're like, oh, you know, I go to art institute performances every weekend. Yeah. Like that's you're paying all those taxes, living in a place that is more expensive than my fucking mortgage to do that. Like, you know, I got my sister-in-law mad. She's like, I like the diversity here. I'm like, Schaumburg is 60% Indian. How do you get more diverse than that? You know? But, you know, I didn't even, we're babbling so much. I love it that I didn't even get to fucking interview you. We should get to that.
All right, let's do it. We're only like 2 hours in. Let's roll.
All right, man. I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. We're having a good time.
The record is Amy Simon. We did 4 hours.
No shit.
Because I interviewed her, but we also did every bizarre sex story that each of us had, including my co-host.
Oh, good lord! So I feel like I've heard some of these.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord.
But yeah, I was gonna say. So, like, did you grow up in Wheaton?
No, I grew up in Naperville, which I always feel like I have to apologize for to people who aren't from Naperville, because it's like I know.
Just be honest. Is all of Naperville spoiled white kids?
No, no. It's not.
Because that's the stereotype.
There are definitely a lot of them. That is undeniable. It's kind of funny. Like, I'll go to dinner downtown and I have to remind myself to steel myself, because it's like I'll go down there and there's like 13-year-old kids with more money in clothing on them than I pay in rent. Yeah. And I'm like, who the fuck is doing this? But it's so like, whenever people are like, oh, you're from Naperville, I'm like, listen, no. I know who you're thinking of. I worked in the service industry. I worked in retail there. I know those people. I hate them too. Yeah. But and like when we moved there,
Sam and Danny are from there as well.
Yeah. And like when we moved there, it was just like a nice place to live. And then over like the 20 some odd years, it became Naperville. Yeah. And it's like not the same thing I remember as a little kid, but yeah, it was a good place. I went to Naperville Central, and then
I went there a few months ago to meet Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah?
Because he was doing a book signing.
No shit. Was he at North? Because he went to school at Naperville North.
He was at some library, some really big library that has an auditorium.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
And we went, and it was so funny because we went because my kid loves Breaking Bad. Yeah. But he was releasing this fucking fables stories that he did to his own kids. Yeah. Like that he wrote for his own kids. Yeah. It was like a, Shel Silverstein version of... So,
but it was also just an excuse to meet Bob Odenkirk.
Exactly. Yeah. So everybody there is like, he's on stage. He's like, if you want to take pictures with my kids, they're right. Skip, fucking Bob. You know. Yeah. They even had to give the rule of he's not signing any Breaking Bad shit. Damn it. Like, it's fucking annoying as. But
that's all I brought.
But I love Bob for a lot. You know, writer on Simpsons and Conan and so. But yeah, so you grew up in Naperville. You know, one thing I have to tell you about Naperville that I think will make you laugh is, do you know that fucking really, like, souped up park where it's like there's like unbelievable, like it looks like a beautiful scene in like a Tim Burton movie. It looks like the town in Edward Scissorhands.
Where is it?
There's that clock tower.
Oh, yes.
Where's like a artificial beach there.
Yeah. And Centennial Beach. Yeah, good spot.
And there's like, the plants there are so exotic that they're like, you can't bring anything non-invasive here type shit. Dude, when I went there with my wife, we just went there because I thought it looked cool, whatever. Yeah. We did this tour of the clock tower. And that clock tower, I guess it goes off like every so often, whatever. They take us all the way to the top, and all the way at the top, there's a huge. You know, you're a musician, right?
Yeah.
You know how a piano looks with the black keys and the white keys? They have a huge piano, but each key is a hammer like the size of your fist.
Yeah.
It's a wooden hammer. And they go, oh, we could actually, if you're having a wedding, we could feed this piano so it can play a certain song for you.
Yeah.
So I'm like Kelly, my wife already knows I'm Wild Phil, you know. So she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just go with the tour. I'm following behind." And I like played the Jeopardy song, for the whole fucking town, you know? And dude, next week they released an article. There has been a $1 million failure on that thing. I'm like, I really hope it wasn't me, you know. God. But that's all I know about Naperville. Is those two things. But so you grew up in Naperville, and when do you think like you got into comedy? Like what made you get into comedy?
As far as like stand up or just comedy in general?
I would say stand up. I mean, both.
I've been a big fan of stand up for a long time. I remember like the first time it really caught my eye, there was a Jim Gaffigan special on TV that me and my family, we laughed our asses off, and they played it again. They did like an encore showing of the same thing, and we watched it 2 times in a row. And that kind of put it in my head like, oh, like this is an actual thing you can do. But I think like as far as like being funny, I remember my kindergarten class, there was a day where everyone was sitting down and we all had to push our chairs in. And I kept miming, like pushing my chair in a little bit and falling over, and people kept laughing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is the shit. I like this. It was the stupidest thing, but I was like, oh, I kind of like getting that reaction from people. And like I listened to a lot of different comics like Louis C.K., Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle. My 2 biggest favorite comedians, number 1 is George Carlin, and then
to this day?
and number 2 is Doug Stanhope. Because like George Carlin, I love him because it's all very well written, very well timed, and he has like these just crazy concepts that he comes up with that he makes funny.
Yeah.
And Doug Stanhope, I love because it's like he definitely has kind of the same sort of vibe where it's like he says things that you're like, that probably shouldn't be funny, but you're making it funny.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed that in life. Like the way I look at it, especially with traumatic or hard things, is like if I can laugh at it, I can sure as fuck get through it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it was one of those things, like anything hard in my life, like if I can laugh at it, I know that it's doable. I can get through it. And as far as like getting started in stand-up, I had been writing jokes for the longest time. Like I had like a Google Doc that I just, every time I thought of something funny or like a bit, I would write it down. And then my friends, 2 of them were like, yeah, we're going to go do the open mic at the Comedy Vault. And I was like, they said you should come. And I was like, fuck yeah. So I wrote out a set. We showed up an hour early. We went to the bar across the street.
Yeah.
And we were like, I'm getting a little drunk because it's like, fuck, if this is going to be humiliating, at least I'm going to have a buzz. And so we go to the Comedy Vault, and it was, my friends had advertised it as like, oh, it'll probably just be like a few comics. There won't be that many people. So it's like, okay, if this crashes and burns, it won't be that, like there won't be that many people.
Yeah.
And I show up, and there was probably a good like 20 people in the audience and then like 40 comics waiting to go up. And so I'm like, oh shit, this is a lot of pressure. And I go, like we sit down, I think I was like 10 on the list, and the people start going, and I'd missed the introduction where they explained that it was 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I had written out a 5-minute set, and I'm watching these comics go, and I'm like, these feel really short for 5 minutes. So I start timing them on my phone, and I realize I'm like, bro, these are 3-minute sets.
Yeah.
And so we both have to like go on the fly and trim our set down to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then finally I get up there, and the saving grace was the lights on the stage. It's so bright that you really can't see anybody.
Yeah.
You can just see like the outline, the shadows, and that was a saving grace for me because it was like, okay, I don't have to like look these people in the eye when I do this. But I went up and I did like my 3 minutes, and it went well, actually.
Yeah.
Like, it went well. There was actually some guy came up to me in the bathroom. He was like, "Do you have any advice?" And I was like, "Dude, I have to be honest with you. This was my first fucking time I ever did this."
Do you know who it was?
No, I don't think I ever saw him again.
Dude.
But it was just one of those, like, okay, so maybe this is something I should keep doing. And so
Did you ever do a set about bipolar?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you something, but I don't want to interrupt what you're saying.
Okay. But so I went and I came back again the next week and told another joke that I wrote one of the jokes on the drive home from my first open mic.
Yeah.
I wrote I'm going to spoil it because why not? But it was a joke about like guns.
Yeah.
And I started it by saying, like, listen, I know I'm going to make some jokes about guns, and I know that subject can make some people kind of uncomfortable. So allow me to put you all at ease with one simple fact. Guns don't kill people. Bullets do. And, like, it just was funny to me because I'm like, technically guns aren't the thing. It's the thing that comes out. And, like, I came back and I did it the next week, and again, like, it went well. And then I had a bunch of health shit. I had a bunch of health stuff. But then the beginning of October, I came back and started hitting it hard. And it's kind of funny because it's like, obviously there's some days where it goes really well, some days where it just goes terribly. But like, I don't know. I try to learn from all of it. I keep going. I keep getting laughs. So I read a book with the Mastering the Art of Stand-Up Comedy. Because like when... it's kind of one of those things where like, oh, you're going to learn it from a book. Like, oh, you're going to learn it from a class. Like,
it helps.
It does. And it was one of those...
gives you a guide.
It was one of those things where it's like, okay, it's not going to like help me write a better joke or make me a funnier comic, but it is going to give me those little pointers that I wouldn't have known if someone hadn't told me.
Yeah.
And one of the big ones I remember from that book is if you get a laugh, wait a little bit so people have time to laugh then go into the next thing, because if you start talking like people start laughing,
you break the laugh.
You basically are like
that's one of my biggest fucking problems.
It's basically like, telling the audience like, shut the fuck up, I'm talking, don't laugh at this isn't meant to be, you're not meant to enjoy this is about me. And that was one of the big things when I started out, was like when I first started open mics, I wanted to get laughs for me. You know what I'm saying? I wanted that validation that what I was saying was funny. It was kind of selfish in a way. I was like, I want people to validate me that I'm funny. And then after a couple of weeks, it started to be like, no, I need to look at this because in the end, it's the entertainment industry. I want these people to be entertained. I want them to laugh. I want them to have fun. And that... I don't know if it necessarily changed how I did stand up, but it definitely changed the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
As far as like, I'm here to make these people have a good time.
Yeah.
This isn't really about me.
Yeah. That is something that you have to. You have to, like, you eventually naturally you learn it.
Yeah.
And one thing that I learned that it was kind of like breaking my heart was because I'm at work welding, listening to Legion of Skanks all day.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, these people are laughing at the same shit I would laugh.
Yeah.
And eventually what happened is I went to Lincoln Lodge, which is kind of like a progressive open mic, you know? And I remember by luck that day, there was like two metalhead couples. They were like on a double date. They were dying and the rest of the room was crickets. And I'm like, you know what? That's my audience.
Yeah.
That's who I'm going to.
That's the tough thing,
Fuck all of you. It's not that I'm not funny. You guys don't know me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, because like I'll compare it to like Doug Stanhope, right?
Yeah.
Like Doug Stanhope's fan base is so about the shit that he does. They love his brand of comedy. If you put him in a room of just random people who just came to see comedy, probably a good 80% of them are going to fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Because it's just the way it is. It's offensive. It's not PC. It's very vulgar. But the people who do like it love it. And it's tough too, because again, when you're going to open mics, you don't have necessarily like a fan base or an audience.
Yeah.
You kind of start to feel like, oh, okay, maybe it's just these couple of people. Maybe I'm not that funny. It's like, or maybe there's people out there who love your brand, but you just don't have them all in one place at one time. Because like, it was funny too. I've seen Doug Stanhope a few times live, and I brought my buddy to one, and he was like, who do you think's gonna be there? I think he meant like was it like a fucking biker gang or something? But I told him there are going to be people who are there to see him specifically, and there are going to be some people who are very upset. And right in front of us there was a couple, and the whole show you could tell that the guy was loving it and the girl was so pissed.
Yeah.
And he even did a bit there. He was like, why do you keep bringing them? Why do you bring your wives and girlfriends? Like, they don't like me. Why do you keep bringing them? I get these emails about people who are upset, and I'm like, why did you come?
Because they didn't make dinner on time. That's their punishment. You know?
You gotta go see this set. But yeah, I don't know. I've been.
You know what I was going to tell you before I forget. When you were talking about somebody went up to you and said, hey, can you give any advice?
Yeah.
You know what happened to me at the vault? So I had the moment that I'm talking about. It was one of my best sets one of my best 3-minute sets at the vault.
Yeah.
And when I say best, I don't ever crush.
Yeah.
Crush, I would say 1% of the time. Do well, 60% of the time.
Yeah.
Now. But back then, anyways, I went to the vault, 3-minute set, and I did amazing. When I say I did amazing, I said every joke that I wanted to say. The timing was perfect, the pauses, and I was like initiating the audience. So I did so fucking well. And that night, it was Blackout Wednesday.
Oh yeah, that place was fucking packed that day.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I get off stage, and was Brando hosting that day?
Honestly, I don't remember.
But I get off stage and I just crushed. That was one of the one time that I did, perfect 3 minutes. Yeah. It's 3 minutes, but whatever. Yeah. I go to the bathroom, and what I usually, I like to rewatch my set and be like, did that really just happen?
Yeah.
And I'm in the bathroom, and some kid's almost looks like he's jagging off in the urinal, Yeah. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? Because he's shaky. I'm like, are you jagging off, or are you having some low blood sugar? You know, and he goes, yeah, man, it's my first time I'm going up, and man, are you famous or something? You did amazing. Can I just need advice, man.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, this is selfish. I don't give a fuck. I was trying to just taste that goodness of my biscuit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just did amazing. I'm just let it get in. Just let me fucking.
I'm trying to ride the high right now. Buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy's asking me so many questions. So he's like, can you just listen? I won't bother you. Just give me advice. I'm like, all right, number one, you're going to eat shit. That's number one.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Especially you're going to eat shit. Don't let it bother you. Number two, don't worry if there might be hecklers. And he's like, oh my God, are there hecklers here? I'm like, honestly, I've only had one heckler in the entire time I've been here. There isn't a lot of hecklers, but it's something, so there won't be hecklers. Just don't worry. He's like, okay, thanks, man. Thanks. I'll leave you alone. So I get out, I take a piss, I get out of the bathroom. And
that's like if you were giving him swimming advice and you were also like, don't worry, there's only a couple of piranhas in there.
Yeah. and I'm in the bathroom frustrated because the whole time I'm like, oh, maybe it's because I have to take a piss real bad.
Yeah.
So then I take a piss, and then when I'm done pissing, I'm like, no, I feel like shit because I was just sinking in my goodness.
Yeah.
And this guy ruined it. Yeah. So I get off stage. I'm sitting next to Lauren or whatever the crew there.
Yeah.
And this guy goes on, and I'm so pissed off. I'm like, you know what? There will be hecklers today. and he goes on, and his opening line is, he goes, so guys, I'm bipolar, and I just go, boo! and he goes, what the fuck? You're gonna boo me for my mental illness?
Yes.
What the fuck? And he just it killed him. He could not focus for the next 3. It's just that it ruined him.
Bro,
and everyone kept laughing because it was so unexpected. I was like, man, dude, I killed it as a comedian and as a heckler today. But anyways, so yeah, sorry, man. So yeah, you grew up and you got into stand-up comedy. You said at the top Doug Stanhope and George Carlin.
Yes.
And this was in high school or before that?
George Carlin was high school and college, and Doug Stanhope I found a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's funny too because like I love Doug Stanhope. My comedy is nothing like his.
Yeah.
But I always enjoy more like the concept comedy where it's like, oh, I've come up with this funny idea and I'm gonna kind of riff on that.
Yeah.
Like I have all these problems in life, so I'm gonna buy a tank, and then just like talking about all the shit I can do with it. Because like for me, that works a little bit better. My brain doesn't really work in one-liners. I have a couple of them, but like it's not really my cup of like my bread and butter. You know, I'm more of like I write jokes, kind of like just like okay, I have this idea. I'm gonna write everything I can possibly think of that might be funny. And then one thing I do like about the Comedy Vault, the sets are shorter, but it makes you cut the fat. It makes you go, okay, this joke as it's written is 5 minutes, but 2 of it has to go. Yeah. And you cut the 2 minutes that aren't as funny as the 3 minutes that you're going to do. Yeah. And so now you have refined from, okay, 5 minutes with 2 minutes of nonsense down to 3 minutes of like heavy hitting. Yeah. So I like it for that.
I also, part of the reason why I think I do well there, I mean, I like it because I do well there, but part of the reason why I think I do well, I don't know why, I've always done amazing when I'm under more pressure. Yeah. And the pressure of, bro, I just drove a half hour out here for 3 fucking minutes. Yeah. If you fuck this up, you're going to drive a half hour back feeling like shit. Yeah. You know? And that's the other thing that was, I was telling you, I was taking those classes at Lincoln Lodge. Yeah.
Sorry, I got to text somebody. What were you saying?
Oh, it's like, I was saying, the class I took at Lincoln Lodge with Chris Higgins. Yeah. The thing that was funny is like, I said I was bringing in all these offensive material. Yeah. And then I go do that show at the end, where they're filming your graduation tape, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, Phil, what the fuck was that? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you just killed right now from Chris Higgins. And it was just because I was under pressure. I'm like, today's the fucking day. And I pulled out everything I thought was, you know what I started doing is, I work backwards because people would tell me, start with the one-liners. I start with the full story, and you sprinkle one-liners in there. Yeah. And the thing is, when I go up there with pressure, I realize that the one-liners come out on their own. Yeah. Like, I'm just doing this bit right now about how I grew up in a Polish-Italian neighborhood. And I go, oh, what kind of, like I started out, what I wrote down on paper is, oh, you know what I mean by Polish-Italian neighborhood. The kind where every minority's house mysteriously burns down. And then on stage, I came up with, because racists are Italian and Polish contractors don't really wire the houses good. Like, I just came, like, that just squeezed out of me, I love that shit, the riff, the art of the riff. Yeah.
I've been trying to work on that more. I definitely, at the Comedy Vault, I'm more like stick to what I've written. Yeah. Just because, again, like the 3-minute time frame, because it's like I time my sets when I practice them, and I try and get them to about 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes and 40 seconds, just because you have to build in time for that laugh. Yeah. Because it's like if all I do is talk and it's 3 minutes, that means that, like we talked about, I'm going to cut people's laughs off. Yeah. I'm going to again say like, all right, don't laugh, stop that. I'm not here. I'm not here for you to enjoy this. Yeah. I'm here to tell these jokes. So usually when I try and like I practice a set, I leave a little bit of extra time in there for a laugh. So with the vault being 3 minutes, it's a little less wiggle room. So when I do like 5-minute sets, there's more time to just be like, I'm just going to throw this in or go off on a tangent. Yeah. Because there's a little bit more time. You're a little more free.
Dude, the shit that made me laugh my ass off was like half the reason why I wanted to be a host was because I felt like I could do as much time as I fucking want.
That is true.
And they actually played the music on me as a host because I did longer. I'm like that I don't think that's ever happened to any host. Like that's the first wrong thing to do.
Bro, that's the next step up for me is I want to try and host.
Yeah, you could even ask at Joe's if you want to. Like anywhere you go, if they're hosting, they will let you host.
Just because it's like kind of the next step up as far as like okay, because it's like open mic hosting, getting an actual showcase or a feature, and then beyond that, that's not what I'm looking. Keep my eyes on what's going on now. So trying to get a hosting spot just because it's, I don't know, it seems interesting. It's something I'd like to do. I want to keep working on my craft. Yeah. Kind of keep making new shit up.
Did you have both parents growing up?
Yes. Yeah.
So what made you like? Because a lot of people, they have like, I don't know, some fucked up like, oh, you know, they got a disability or they got bullied or they had one parent. Like, what made you feel like I'm using comedy as an outlet for this?
I don't know. I've always been just like, again, like dark shit that happens to me, I try and make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, you know, they call it a coping mechanism, but like, hey, I'm turning it into something more fun.
You know what? Real quick, people call it a coping mechanism. They're emotional little bitches. All right, they call it that because what they're saying is you're not supposed to do that.
It's like, bro, you know what else is a coping mechanism is alcoholism and heroin addiction.
Yeah.
So like maybe I picked one that's not.
Yeah.
The only thing is it does from time to time it will get you in trouble, especially if it's something tragic that happened to someone else, and you're kind of sitting there like you've come up with a joke and you're like half smiling, trying not to laugh, and they're like, what the fuck are you smiling about?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so sorry. I have a tendency to laugh.
Yeah,
horrific shit.
Yeah. I was just like saying how like when my mom died, my brother was close with her, but I wasn't. And we walked up to the casket, and the first thing I thought, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. They made her hair like Will Ferrell in Night at the Roxbury, like that parted, you know. I'm like, I want to take this bitch's head and just dance. What is love? You know, like that's the shit that I think of right away, you know. Or like, I went to this girl's. Okay, I remember that girl I said I went to San Francisco, the tomboy.
Yeah.
She's one of those friends that you only keep them as a friend because they're entertaining because of how stupid they are.
Yeah.
Because this girl, like. I'm not saying all girls are like this. I'm saying this girl would like, she'd be like, I got laid off, so I don't have money for weed. Okay. So you know what? I read online that you could shoot up juice from dandelions. Like that's the kind of shit she would do. No joke. Or she fucking found a half run over kitten and tried to make a GoFundMe for this fucking kitten who like, it's going to die.
Yeah.
But I need drug money. You know, like, so I went to her wedding, surprisingly, that she got married.
Not as I was expecting this story to go.
And dude, I was dying from laughter because her husband he's like Middle Eastern. Half of his family's Muslim, but then his other half is Christian.
Yeah.
And her family is like Czech Republic, so they're Christian. So we went to this weird ass church. It looked like one of those cabins in Midsommar where you could see all the wood beams.
Yeah.
And the pastor is singing Christian songs, but he's Middle Eastern. So it's like, you know, it sounds like an Islamic prayer, but he's saying Christian things. I'm like, there's some contradiction here.
Yeah.
And then the worst part is he had a stutter. So he's like, thank goodness to the Lord.
He's got a stutter when he's singing. That's tough.
You know? And I'm like, this
can't even King's Speech that shit out right there.
And I'm like, how did I not see this happen? You going from wanting to shoot up dandelions to this fucking dumpster fire of a wedding, you know? Like, but
oh my goodness.
So yeah, we I'm sorry, we could wrap this up.
Just in a little bit. I gotta run and do some shit. But
I was gonna say, like, so what do you think you've been in? Are you in it? What you say, 6 months?
About 5, 6, somewhere around there.
I like having a diverse, like. I had comedians on here like fucking Jack Baker. He's been in the game for a long time. Yeah, the king of the burbs.
Dude's got a special out. Come on.
Yeah. and then I'll have people like you and Sam just starting out because I don't give a like. This is a hang, you know. Yeah. And so I'm wondering, like, what are you expecting to get out of comedy? What do you think is your goal?
I don't know. To be honest, I've always had a problem of going into things with no end game in mind. To be honest, I'm just trying to see where it takes me at the moment because it's like, especially now, I'm just at such a beginner level to where I'm like, okay, I just want to feel it out, get to where I'm good, and then start to like kind of spread my wings. I don't know. Like, let's be honest, I would love to be, you know, Netflix #1 special. That would be fantastic. But at the moment, that's not really the goal. The goal is just to get better at stand-up. Hopefully host, hopefully feature sometime this year. That's kind of the short-term goals.
Yeah.
So
you know what, one mistake that I thought this was a goal, but it's not the goal is Bro, I always
Getting
had,
a drug problem?
No, no, I always had problems making friends.
Yeah.
And so I love and hate the camaraderie in comedy.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's something that we all fucking have in common, that we're going on a fucking stage to look for validation through laughs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter if you're me, you, somebody is extreme to, to this side as Laurie Milbourne.
Yeah.
Somebody is extreme to this side as Jack Baker.
Yeah.
We're all doing this for some, and I like the camaraderie in the sense of like, I would run into a fucking grammar school friend of mine at a store and be like, well, I hope everything's good, and that's it.
Yeah.
When I went to Target and ran into Dan McCarty, I'm like, hey man, how's it going? What are you working on? What shows you got coming up? There's so much love there, but
I've yet to see a fellow comic out in the wild.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping for that one day, to just see somebody like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to start this crew with Lucia, because I feel like we were talking before, that people have this like, what were you calling it? Like this scarcity mentality?
Yeah. Where it's like people think like, oh, well, if you get it, then I can't get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we can all share.
Yeah. I'm under this Rogan mentality where it's like, why not start a fucking crew of people who get along well, do well, and then help each other out.
Yeah.
You fucking
a network.
Yeah. You open up for me when I go on to whoever makes it first, we're opening up for you.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And it's just like, so far it's been real. I see a lot of people who stick together because they're miserable that they're not where they're at.
Yeah.
That's how I feel,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to get at. I accepted the thing early in the beginning that this is the same problem I had with the band, was that, okay, my favorite band at the time was Brian Jonestown Massacre, right? What's my goal? I want to be as big as them. Well, in 7 years, I became good friends with them, and they actually let me open up for some of their shows.
Yeah.
And now they're going to want me to be on their festival, but then the band broke up, right?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the breakup that I realized, I'm like, why is my band not going anywhere? Okay, you're trying to be as big as Brian Jonestown Massacre. Who the fuck knows who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so it's like looking up to an underground filmmaker. You know what I mean? And so that's why I accepted the fact. I'm like, with my trauma, my life, the bizarre experiences, I'm like, the furthest that I can go is something like Big J. Okerson.
Yeah.
And if I could fucking open up for him, that's my fucking cap, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know.
I'll go home and make a vision board. Maybe next time I'll be like, I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what's happening.
But the truth is, I think what you're doing is good.
Yeah.
You're going with the flow.
Yeah.
You're surfing with the wave.
Well, it's like I have to remind myself too, because like I had wanted to do stand-up comedy for so long. Like, it took me 25 years to actually get on stage.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing it, even if it goes poorly, I still have to remind myself, like, that past you would be so fucking proud right now.
Yeah.
Like, the one, like, you who was 23 and saw that open mic sign and was like, yeah, and then didn't do it because you were scared. You're fucking doing it now.
Yeah.
Even if, I mean, like, I'm not getting paid. I'm not, I'm not a superstar. I'm not signing autographs, but I'm doing that thing that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so even just like going to open mics is still a lot of fun. And again, like how far this will take me, that's time is yet to tell. But I'm willing to take opportunities when I see them. So and going with the flow, I think it's the best thing, because I got in that mentality where I was like, how come this person who I started with, how come they got booked here, but I didn't, and I'm funnier? That's another thing that's tough too. Like, it makes you bitter when you're like, you start to go like, oh, well, they got something I didn't get. Yeah. And it's like, well, sometimes it's who you know, sometimes it's just an opportunity thing, and it's like, well, you can't really be better. Yeah. I'm not.
The one thing that I'm still trying to convince bookers of is like, when any of that crew from Skanks comes in town, I'm like, bitch, why would you have anybody open besides me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, it's like,
you look like Big J. Okerson's little brother.
So, but you get what I'm saying, because when you think of, I'm not going to name names, but when you think of the big guys in town, right? Who they're opening for. You can't fucking tell me that the same guy that opens for, I don't know, Pete Corielli is going to be the same guy that opens for Doug Stanhope is going to be the same guy that opens for Big J. Okerson.
Yeah.
That's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. Why are you doing that? You know? So
because they're trusted. They're trustworthy.
But so I'm trusting that surfboard on that wave, and I'm like, eventually
you're going to be a surf ninja.
Yeah, man. I'm going to be a surf ninja. But yeah, I think it's a good way to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you wanted to mention.
No, I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely.
Fuck you, Sam. No, I'm just kidding. Sam was supposed to be on the podcast, but it's all good, man. Thank you for coming on, and yeah, it was fun, dude.
Yeah, he caught crabs.